I'll give it to you. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, December 7th meeting of the Danville City Council. Madam Clerk, roll call to establish a quorum, please.
Mayor Ricky Williams Jr.,
Present.
Alderman Carolyn Wands,
Present.
James Bouchard,
Present.
Heidi Purtell,
Present.
Bob Iverson,
Present.
Brenda Brown,
Present.
Mike O'Kane,
Here.
Mike Poor,
Present.
Rick Streebing,
Here.
Sherry Pickering,
Here.
Eve Ludwig,
Present.
Tricia Teague, present, Robert Williams,
Present.
Darren York,
Here.
13 present.
13 present. We do have a quorum. At this time, we will have the invocation led by Reverend Tyson Parks, the presiding elder for the Illinois Annual Conference of the AME Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Ludwig. Please rise.
Let us bow our hearts and heads. Eternal God in heaven, we pause to say good evening to you, to give thanks and praise for this another day's journey. And now, Father, as we are assembled here at this city council meeting on tonight, we pray your blessings upon the men and women who serve this community in conjunction with Mayor Ricky Williams. We pray that God, that everything that will be done tonight will be done in decency and order, that your name be praised, glorified, and magnified. We pray for those that will be sharing on tonight their individual concerns regarding how we can make Danville a better community as we work together in unison, God. So, Father, we ask that your Shekinah glory would overshadow this meeting. Again, that everything will be done in decency and order. Bless this meeting again, Father, with your presence. These blessings we ask in the merciful, holy, and mighty name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. And all of God's people said, Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Elder Parks. Is there anything that you would like to share that's going on in your conference that would be good for the people to know?
Yes, this is the Christmas season. It is the time for us to give and not to receive. Let me repeat that. It's a time for us to give and not to receive. So give of yourselves, not for your glory, but to the glory of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is the good news that we all should be sharing during this Christmas season. To God be the glory.
Thank you, Elder Parks. At this time, you have before you the minutes.
Mayor Williams,
Sir.
I would like to say, as I was a patient at the VA hospital at one point, and Reverend Parks came and prayed over my body, I got up and moved. And I'm still moving.
Thank God for that, Alderman Williams. At this time, you have before you item number 4, the minutes for November 2nd and 16th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. You also have the agenda for this evening. There are no additions or deletions. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. This time we will receive my report. I do not have any proclamations, board or committee of personnel appointments at this time. Are there any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Just a quick reminder from our Human Relations Department that the MLK Scholarship is available.
Yes. The deadline for submitting the application is this Friday by 4:30 in my office. So if you know of a graduating senior who needs a scholarship, they need to apply for this scholarship. It's a $4,000 scholarship. And again, this scholarship is available to any student, doesn't matter what race, your ethnicity, or your whatever culture you belong to. It's open to everyone. So please apply if you are eligible to apply.
Thank you. And I will post that again on my page, and we'll post it on the city page too as a reminder for everyone. Thank you. Do we have any other reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Seeing none, I do have a few items of information for you. First, I just want to thank our community relations administrator and all the holiday committee, decorating committee for all the work that you guys have done. We had some incredible events downtown recently. We had the lighting of the tree 2 Fridays ago, and then last Friday we had a Night of Lights parade, and we estimate that there were around 5,000 people there. We had the most number of floats we've ever had. Previously, the high was 39. This time we had 51. And the cool thing too is that a lot of folks have said to us that this is the best. Some of the older folks have said this is the best downtown has looked in 30 or 40 years. So I just want to say thank you all again for your support. It's brought a lot of cheer and a lot of hope to people this season. And I just want to thank all our team for all the good work they did. Also, I just wanted to let you know, I forget to do this from time to time, but we often receive thank you notes that are pertinent to the entire council. So I want to read a couple of such notes for you this evening. First is from Project Success. Dear City Council members, we truly appreciate your support with the CDBG grant. We have ordered violence prevention curriculum to implement at Central Christian, Southview, Northridge, and Danville High School. Our site coordinators are also planning college visits for the spring. We are excited to offer these extra supports to Danville students. Thank you. Kimberly David, Associate Director, Lucas Silheimer, Executive Director of Project Success. I also have another thank you letter from the Laura Lee Fellowship House. Dear Mayor Williams, thank you for facilitating the application for and subsequent awarding of funds to make quality improvements to the Laura Lee Fellowship House structure. The over $100,000 investment in the building is an investment in the future of our children, our community, and our future. With the replacement of external doors and windows in the old building, as well as fresh concrete at the William Street entrance, and our curb appeal is enhanced, energy for heating and air conditioning is reduced, and an extra measure of safety is in place. Fixing the plumbing issue in the old kitchen was long overdue and much appreciated. Mayor Williams, you were the catalyst in securing funds and getting the job done and done well. Your staff was pleasant to work with and were most helpful when needed to tweak plans for expenditures. On behalf of the Laura Lee Fellowship House Board of Directors, thank you. Sincerely, Tricia D. Teague, President of Laura Lee Fellowship House Board of Directors. So just wanted to make sure that you all are aware that the organizations that we've partnered with in the community are thankful for the work that you all have allowed us to do. So we appreciate that a lot. Just want to let everyone know that we also, our first Friday for January will be a progressive dinner downtown. We will hopefully be releasing the details of that within the next day or two and an opportunity for people to register to participate. It's going to be an awesome evening. For those of you who aren't familiar with progressive dinners, the way it works is you start out and you have appetizers at one place. Then you go to another place and you have your entree. Then you go somewhere else and have desserts. Then you go somewhere else and have coffee or a nightcap. So this one is going to be focused more on our adults. A lot of our programs are focused on our young people and families. This will be an adult activity for folks to enjoy. So, and a lot of other exciting announcements that are coming up in terms of First Fridays for next year. At this time, we will receive our petitions, communications, and audience comments. We will start by having a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. At this time, I will open the hearing. Madam Clerk, have we received any comments on anyone wishing to comment on the budget or levy?
No, sir, Mayor, we have not.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak about the budget at this time?
One individual did not have a subject on their card. Kiera Hempel. Did you want to speak on the budget or another matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No problem, ma'am. All right. Yes, Alderman Teague.
May I make a comment concerning the budget?
Sure.
So I went through the budget and sent a long list of questions to Comptroller Massey, and we had a conversation today about many of them. But there's still one open question that I have, which is about under the general fund item 54015, which is community project grant, which has a line item of $5,000. So it's very small compared to the entirety of the budget. But based on my conversation with Comptroller Massey, She said that these were funds that were going to the Boys and Girls Club, and that we've been sending $5,000 annually to the Boys and Girls Club since fiscal year, as far back as she could look, which was fiscal year 2012. So my question is, what is community project grant? Is it funds that are specifically earmarked for one particular nonprofit, or should we be dispersing those funds to multiple nonprofits annually throughout the city, or maybe breaking up the funds to multiple nonprofits each year?
Sure. So what I can tell you is that allocation actually even predates my time on the council. So I joined the council in May of 2009, and that is actually something that even predates me. My understanding, Alderman Teague, is that at one point the city of Danville ran summer programs, and for some reason, I don't know if it was finances or whatnot, they decided that they didn't have the resources to do so anymore. However, the Boys and Girls Club at that time, they said was able to, and this predates my time as a director even at Boys and Girls Club, so prior to 2006 even, that they decided to give them $5,000 a year since they were offering summer programs, and also since they were supporting a community initiative to provide programs for the students during the summer. I can tell you when I was an alderman at one point, when funds were tied, I recommended deleting that, and you would have thought people lost their minds. So all I can give you is the context of the history. I don't have any comment on the other items, but it's because they provide summer programming in lieu of the city of Danville providing it. Yes, Chairman.
I also was one of them that, like you said, when the money was tight, and Mike can probably remember when we done this, and I asked for the paperwork and the ordinance and everything else that was involved with it, and I'm telling you what, the way it was written and everything was pretty ironclad. I mean, they were to get that money in perpetuum. So, I mean, we can take another look at it, but that's the way it's been since I've been on.
Okay.
I mean, they've always received it, and I'm like him. I tried to get rid of it, and you thought I'd really hurt somebody's puppy.
Yeah, I don't. And to be clear, I am fully in support of Boys and Girls Club. I was once their board president. I've supported the Boys and Girls Club financially. So it's not to me about the Boys and Girls Club. It's more so about why are we supporting one nonprofit in town versus all of the many other nonprofits in town who are also doing work for our community.
And I think I brought that up too, and it was because we didn't have the extra money at the time to do it, where we could have expanded that, but I just left it alone.
I think one of the things too is that unfortunately the Boys and Girls Club is the only organization that's consistently offered programs throughout the years. There have been times where other places have closed or temporarily been unopened or not offering programs and whatnot. So I think that was probably the other reason, is that they had some continuity that wasn't necessarily there with all the other organizations.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I believe that Boys and Girls Club is something like a foundation for our youth here in the city, and to continue to fund them is essential. So,
Yes. Thank you.
Mayor,
Alderman Brown.
I agree with Alderman Teague. I think we need to look at this and maybe look at other nonprofits that are, because there are other agencies that serve our youth as well for summer programs, as you mentioned, and other during the school year. So I'd like for us to look at that. I don't know if you need a committee on this, or if you need to appoint it to one of the committees already standing, or how you want to do it. But I think I'm listening to what Alderman Streebing was saying, how long it's been there. And yeah, and just under community projects, and we're not sure. But I think it would be worthwhile looking, not saying not to give Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
I'm saying look at all of the nonprofit agencies and let all of them receive some, So that's why I'd like to appoint a committee of some type to try to look at this, and maybe get all the nonprofit agencies, or how we could distribute this.
yeah,
Okay.
what are we dealing with? 5,000?
Yeah, it's only $5,000.
Yeah, it's not enough to discuss about just disputing and
Well, it may be not a lot, but maybe it was just, that's why I asked for a committee to look at it. And then they could kind of come up with something.
Well,
That's all.
yeah, that's be okay, but I believe the Boys and Girls Club has been there for us and
Yeah, they have been, and I'm not denying that. I'm just
eliminate
saying,
that at this point would be.
but I'm just saying there are other agencies,
Yeah,
nonprofit, that
I agree.
are serving our youth.
Sure.
And
I-
is I'm sorry, is the ordinance, because okay, so it was obviously placed in ordinance many, many years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't even remember. I mean,
Okay,
I requested it and they gave it to me the next time we met.
okay.
And by the time I looked at it, it was, I mean, they can probably find it for you. It won't take them
Yeah,
long.
and that's why I said if we have a committee or something, however you want to appoint that mayor, we do it like that. And then that way I think they can look at it and then maybe bring to the council. We can look at it, not saying that, I don't mean to not include Boys and Girls Club, but however the committee would come up with it, something that I think would be fair and just.
Sure. So that's something we can definitely discuss too more when we have our discussion of the tax levy and the budget. That's
Sure.
absolutely something we can discuss more and we can talk about at that time.
And I
Yes.
think that since we also have ARPA funds at play, I mean, it does put us in a position to possibly, make a contribution to multiple nonprofits in the community at the same time, as opposed to, it just doesn't look fair. And like I said, to me, it's not about the Boys and Girls Club because I'm all
Right, it's
for it.
not
I
about that.
spent many hours supporting the Boys and Girls Club. So to me, it's not about the Boys and Girls Club, but I've also served on many nonprofits, some of whom never get funding and some of whom are begging for funding. And so, it just to support one and only one without at least rotating the money annually or something. And if this has been going on for what, 15, 20 years now?
Before my time at the Boys and Girls Club,
Right.
so at least since prior to 2006.
So at this point, if it's $5,000 a year over 20 years, the Boys and Girls Club has gotten $100,000 from the city of Danville, and no other nonprofit has gotten anything.
Well, that's not true because we've given nonprofits other things in a lot of ways. So, I mean, for example, Laura Lee just received a $130,000 grant that no one else received. And that's, more than that $100,000 we've given to the Boys and Girls Club, We've also given to other nonprofits, to the YFRC, to the homeless shelter, the men's mission at Fairchild Street there, Cross Point. There have been lots of others that we've given to, but not in that capacity.
And do we have a mechanism in place in which case all nonprofits are eligible to apply for funding or ask for funding or request funding so that it's not just earmarked based on someone's preference at the time, whomever that person is or was?
That's what I was going to say, Mayor Williams, that at the time, it was set out that way. And that's why I think we need to look the whole thing over to maybe make some adjustments, because what Laura Lee received was applying for a grant. It wasn't just set out that we're going to get this $130,000 every year. That was through us, the board at Laura Lee applying for a grant. So maybe other nonprofits have done that as well, but it's not on an ordinance or on the books that any one particular agency or organization is getting that annually.
Sure, that's something we can definitely explore.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. All right. This time I will close the public hearing. We do not have any zoning petitions this evening. However, you do have the payrolls of November 19th and
Excuse me,
24th.
Mayor. We have regular audience comments.
Oh, gosh, I guess we have the rest of those. There are probably a lot of y'all who wish to speak this evening. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for my error.
Has everyone had a chance to complete a yellow audience comment card who wishes to speak this evening? Okay, when I call your name, please come to the podium. I'll give you 3 minutes to speak. First, I have Terry Mormon, 208 Prospect Place, regarding the overcharge on the sewer bills.
Hello, my name's Terry Mormon. I've lived at 208 Prospect Place for 50 plus years. The thing I'd like to speak to you about this evening is my other property, which I have a vacant warehouse at 31 College Street. I used to run a business out of it for several years. We've been out of business now for several years. My water consumption in that building is absolutely zero, has been for quite some time. I received this sewer bill for that, I don't know, $42.50 a month, I think is what it is, what I was billed. What I used to pay was probably the minimum. I really don't know, but I think that's pretty expensive for somebody that's on Social Security now as main income. You're looking at $500 a year out of my Social Security, and that kind of got my attention. The fact that I don't put water or sewage into the system, I think it should be, billing should reflect that. I realize that as a property owner, I have to support the piping system and things like that. I agree to that. But the other part of it, I think I should get a reduction on the billing like I used to get before they changed this. The other thing I wanted to talk about while I was here is the fact that you cannot take a phone and call the city of Danville. I don't understand why. With the number of employees that the city has, somebody can't answer a phone. That just isn't very good business. If you was out there trying to make a profit, you couldn't stay in business doing that. I tried for 3 days to call and get through to somebody to talk about this. I did get a talk to older lady that she invited me to come down here. That's why I'm here. I think that things could be run a whole lot better as far as you post a number for people to call. Somebody should answer the phone. The other part that I want to talk about was the fee that you're charging for the pension for the police. I understand that we owe a bill. We need to pay that. At the same time, I think you guys have on record who the elderly people are in this town, I don't know if you'd have all the facts and figures on the disabled people and stuff like that, but you didn't take an attempt to find out who was who. You sent the bill out, $22.50, I think, or $22.25, the full amount to everybody in the city of Danville. Then the person has to, if they got that bill, they either through word of mouth find out that they only owe half of that. There's no explanation on that postcard that was sent out with it. I don't really remember how I found out that I was only supposed to pay half of it. I did come down to the city and I talked to the people upstairs. They said they would correct that, which is fine, but you shouldn't force every elderly person in the city of Danville to come down to here and protest because they was double charged for a bill. All right. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Mormon. Would you mind, I have a question for you. What number did you call? 431-2200? Is that the number that you were calling?
Sure. It's right
Yes,
here.
sir. So just
And-
so that,
and I also called a number out at out on Voorhees Street
Public
that I was
Works.
given by the people upstairs. And I talked to a lady out there that gave me the older lady's phone number, and the other older person, I talked to her. The other person I didn't get through to. The people I did talk to, it was very helpful and very courteous. It's just the fact that I've made at least a dozen phone calls to this number and nobody answered or returned the call over a 2-day period.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mormon. A couple of things that the public should know. We received over 1,000 calls across a 2.5-day period. So that's one of the reasons why some of you all haven't been able to get anybody. We also have to make a choice. The way our phone system is set up, you can do one of two things. Either you can have a voicemail on it. So someone calls the main number, they don't get anyone, and they leave a message. Or you can, I'm talking about the alternative ways that our phone system can be set up. That's one way. Or you can do it another way, which we've decided to go because we know folks want to talk to somebody. We figure they have a better chance of doing so. The way it's set up right now is if you call the main number and no one answers, it gets flipped over to the next line that's in the finance department. It goes to 5 different people, 6 different people. It does that. So that does that process 6 different times. You cannot put a voicemail on a line that's transferred. So our hope is that you would have a better chance of getting to talk to someone if I can't pick up, if all Vice Chairman Pickering can pick up. If she can't pick up, Chairman Streebing can pick up. So that's the system that we've opted to go with at this time. And that's the reason why you were likely unable to get someone. So I do apologize for that. As far as the fee goes, Mr. Mormon, not just for you, but all of the public to know. And we put out a press release about this, and I know the commercial news and other media have shared it. Unfortunately, in the data conversion, the company that converted our data, many of the folks who received that exemption. So the way it works is if you have on your property taxes, if you have either a senior exemption, a disabled veteran exemption, or a disabled exemption, then you are eligible for a 50% discount on your public safety pension fee. So instead of paying $22.25, you only pay $11.13. Unfortunately, in doing that data conversion, Mr. Mormon, somehow some of that didn't convert. So we're doing our best to get it fixed. And again, I do apologize to you and everyone that happened to.
Thank you for your explanation. And also, will somebody contact me in regards to the property at 31 College Street? I forgot to ask that.
31 College Street, you mean in terms of having a reduction in fees?
Yes, sir.
I left a voicemail for you the other day about that property. So feel free to, I'm Sam Cole, the city engineer. You can feel free to reach back out to me. We do not reduce the fees. Basically commercial properties are subject to a minimum charge. There was not a minimum charge in the past, which was giving commercial properties an unfair discount compared to residences. And the fee does include stormwater and sanitary. So one of the reasons commercial properties are more expensive than residential is because they generally contribute more stormwater runoff than residential properties. You mentioned that, if you have plumbing to your building, you have to have a sanitary sewer connection. We're required to maintain that service. Unfortunately, in this case, $42.50 is the minimum fee that we've determined for all commercial properties, regardless of usage or vacancy or not. So.
Okay. That's not a very good answer to me. If it's worth me, I'll have to talk to my attorney to see if it's worth me going to, but for you to charge for a service that you don't provide, I don't know if that's entirely legal either.
Well, Mr. Mormon, we do provide the service in terms of stormwater for everyone because the water drains off your building and into the system, and we have to provide, as long as there's a building there.
My building into your system because it drains into my crushed rock parking lot at the back end of the building that doesn't drain towards the street. It does not. And I don't have a parking lot that does shed water into the street. It's all crushed rock. So this is not a thing that I don't contribute to your problems with your sewer.
All of the water has to be carried away, and even if it goes to rock, there's often infiltration still infiltration in the system. But I understand your point, and if you feel that you should speak to an attorney, then that's certainly you're right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would rather have you be upset with us for explaining why and you not being happy with the why than to mislead you or deceive you in some way. So thank you, Mr. Mormon.
David Sprouse, 1636 North Franklin, regarding the RV ordinance.
Yes, good evening. I used to be an alderman for 8 years, and I sat and listened to people give these speeches, and I want to make mine real short. I'm against the current draft of the ordinance because it doesn't allow you to park your RV on your driveway. I think people that have a driveway that the RV could sit in and not interfere with anybody else deserves the right to use their driveway the way they'd like to use it. And I hope you can change the ordinance so that would be possible. And I'd be willing to work with any committee or something that you set up to look into that if you don't approve the one tonight.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Jill Pitlick, 1218 East Main, regarding trailers.
Hello. Mine is also because we have a camper in our driveway, but we had a house tore down, which is all gravel. We put it on the asphalt. It is next to my house with our cars and trucks and everything else that is around. No one lives in it. It is kept very neat. It hides my trash can. So that, to me, that's a good thing. But I have drove around Danville just being nosy and looking at some of the other campers and things that are on gravel that people do live in. And some of them are pretty scummy, and I understand why you're trying to get this ordinance, but at the same time, people that are responsible, they shouldn't be kind of like you have to go get your camper off here, and then you've got to pay for storage, and that could be up to $200. And the reason we moved ours out of storage is because all of the places that we found to store it, the camper was close to trees. I don't want that on my camper because that'll ruin the roof. And like I said, we keep ours well. And if anybody would like to take a look at it, go right ahead. I live at 1218 East Main, and you'll see that my property is well maintained. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pitlick. And I can testify, yes, ma'am, your property is very well maintained. Thank you.
And I also will testify.
I also will testify.
Pastor Shanae Dow, 1233 Ruconte, regarding the 21st Century Christian Worship Center funding for youth activities and training.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Last month, I wrote up a proposal in your hearing, but I did not ask for the funds that we wanted. So tonight, I just wanted to do a continuation of the proposal from the November 16th meeting. And we're asking for funds to help our growing youth department. We need computers and for our learning and training for those that cannot afford to buy computers and they don't have computers in their home to do their schoolwork. We need to feed these youth after school for after school program and in the summer. We now have, and we also take them on outings. And we want to do this to keep them off the streets for their safety and for others. Program. And the program I mentioned last month, the youth coordinator will train Carolina, and he's used to working with, he's going to be over this department, and he's going to show the youth, not that they're not trained at home, but this will enhance it, to respect seniors, to assist seniors, how to be gentlemen and ladies in the marketplace. And if they see a senior, it's always good to open the door for them and do these things. If we, my mother taught us charity begins at home and spreads abroad. So I was taught to respect our elders, and we need to go back to that. So this is what we're trying to do. So each time we invest in our youth, we know that we're investing in our own community, because when we invest in our youth, we're investing in ourselves, and we have a better community. And we are a nonprofit, not saying anything about anyone else's church. My husband and I are the senior pastors. We have several pastors in our church. No one gets a salary. We've had several programs that we have fed the entire community. Brats in a bag. We fed the women, the YWCA, women's shelter. At one time, there were 25 women and children there. We have instead of going to Ogden on the lake to have our picnics now, this summer we did on our own parking lot, bounce houses, food trucks. The whole community was involved in it. We invited the community. The next time we had it, the Assembly of God came over and they did the same thing. So we're trying to coordinate to make the community better. There is an apartment building next door. At one time, it was full of young people. I don't know how many young people are there now, but we're trying to evangelize. We're trying to make the community better. We're trying to do our part. So this is what we're asking for, and we are a nonprofit. Thank you for listeling.
What's your
Thank you,
address?
Mrs. Dowell.
Oh, our address is 421 North Vermillion. It's the old Elk Building. And we have been pastoring for 45 years. Also, I served on the school foundation board for 6 years, appointed by Dr. Field. So I know a lot about young people. I have 7 grandchildren and 3 greats and 2 more greats on the way. So, but we are concerned about our youth in Danville, and we want to teach them and train them. And if you have them within the building to teach and train them, it makes a better community. We know where they are. We have 14 youth, and we're growing. We're growing. Yes, ma'am.
I did not get the name of your organization. I'm sorry.
21st Century Christian Worship Center. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's at 421 North Vermillion. It's the red brick building. We just had it painted. And eventually we want to add on, but right now it's perfect for us and for what we want to do with the youth.
Thank
But they do need computers.
Pastor McDowell,
Dow.
how much are we asking for?
25,000.
Okay.
I looked up, we can get refurbished computers.
Yes.
We're not trying to get brand new. Some of them are in high school, some of them are in junior high, some of them are in grade school. They know how to operate their phones, so I know they know how to go to, they can get their songs and scriptures on their phones. But we want them to have access to it within the body of Christ. We've never asked the city for anything before. So we want to continue to do what we're doing. And we just don't say, don't come, and we don't close down the doors because it's not our church. We invite everyone. When we have something, we pay for it out of our own pockets. We try to feed whoever's hungry.
Yeah, well, thank you. You and your husband have been doing tremendous work here in the
Thank
city.
you. Thank
and,
you so much.
We really thank you.
We appreciate that.
Direction.
Thank you. God bless you.
Mrs. Dow, I also wanted to make sure you know, and I'll get together with you about this afterwards, but there are programs to the state where you can they will reimburse you to feed meals and snacks
Okay.
throughout both the summer and throughout the school
Right.
year too.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
Uh-huh.
If I forget, message me and I'll
Okay.
get you taken
Do
care
you
of.
still have the same cell? I can text you. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Randy Osgood, 301 Chester, regarding RV parking.
Pass the picture around, please.
Sir.
You look at the center of that picture is the house at 301 Chester. Behind that, you'll see a smaller building that is the garage. And beside that, you'll see a white square that is a camper. It is parked off Washington Street because I live on a corner. The parking area that trailer is on was put in by Pancoast Construction in 1995, before we got our first camper. We've had one parked there ever since. It is 100 feet plus from Chester Avenue. It is 100 feet plus from the neighbors behind us. It is about 15 feet off of Washington Avenue. I would like to know how a well-maintained, fully licensed trailer can be classed as a health and safety hazard, which is what is on the letter I got from the city. When it's parked like that, not near anything, they're saying it's in the side yard when it's clearly 30 feet plus behind the house. And with the way the ordinance is written, I'm gonna have to spend between $10,000 and $15,000, take out fences, take out gardens, to move that trailer 15 to 20 feet. Because I'm gonna have to put in new drive, new parking area, and about 30 feet of that would be with city money because the 75-foot easement in that area. So my question is, why could something like that be now a problem when it hasn't been for 26 years? And the way the ordinance is written, okay, it was written before most of you were here. I understand that. But do you think maybe when it was written, they were looking at something else and just put a blanket over everything for everybody, not the ones who are actually at fault, the ones that are within 5 feet of the corner, or they have a trailer that is worn down, sitting around on flat tires? There is an ordinance about cars that way. I used to enforce it. You tow cars off unimproved areas when they parked in the grass, this kind of stuff. Why wasn't just put trailers in as an amendment to that ordinance for the ones that are derelict, that are blocking views? Thank you very much.
Mr. Osgood, if I may, I have a question for you. I'm looking at your picture. So this is
Chester Street is at the
Chester Avenue right
bottom.
here. So this is your front.
That is my house there, facing Chester Street. The small square is the garage behind the house, and then the white is the actual trailer where it's parked. That is a picture off Google Maps.
So I'll have to look into this some more and give you a call. I'm not certain what the. I have to look into this and get back with
Do
you.
you want to see the letter I received?
Yes, sir. That'd be fine.
Side yard on a corner lot. And the very first paragraph, they claim that is a health and safety hazard.
Mr. Osgood, the clerk has your number. You put your number on the yellow card.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to check into this and get back with you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. I'll give you this. Thank you very much. And we'll be sure that we get that to you.
Adam Struer, 920 East Voorhees, regarding the trash toter ordinance.
I know we spoke 2 or 3 weeks ago about the same, about the same problem, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Talked to Matt Friel, Area Director, Republic Services. He covers Rantoul, Champaign, Wadsika area, does trash like pickup. No other city or town that he knows of does any sort of a trash toter fine system. So he was surprised to hear that the city was wanting to enforce this. The other thing I wanted to speak on, sorry guys, I'm looking through my notes here. We've already got a system in place to deal with tall grass, unlicensed vehicles. Why aren't we using the same system for trash? And then finally, sorry guys, I should have wrote better notes here. I can't read my own handwriting. We should hold the individual filling the trash toter responsible instead of the actual owner. So we can't monitor all of our trash toters. This would be the same as if Chief Yates held us accountable if on our property there was a DUI, a domestic battery. That doesn't make any sense. We have no control over that. We don't fill these trash bins, so why can't we hold those accountable for who's not rolling them back, who's overflowing them, things like that. To get to the root of this issue, we've got to hold those accountable who aren't following whatever guidelines the city has. That's all I have. Do you have any questions about that?
Thank you, Mr. Stir.
Okay, thank you.
Andrea Rose, 123 Minnesota, regarding mold and issues.
Can I pass that down? Hello.
Hello.
Congress adopted public housing. The main goal for this organization is to provide affordable living, but also provide safe and decent affordable housing. Federal laws require landlords to make sure units are safe and in habitable conditions. Also, is the tenant's responsibility to report repairs to the landlords and the landlords to fix the issues in a timely manner. There are many challenges in Vermilion County, such as community resource and affordable and decent safe homes without mold in their units. When citizens call the health department, code enforcement, human resource, and aldermen in Vermilion County about mold, nothing can be done about that. Some side effects to mold in homes are memory loss, diarrhea, respiratory infections, headaches, confusion, and some could also cause deaths. These are many issues inside Vermilion County that need to be addressed. Is there anything that Vermilion County can do to start enforcing landlords to fix homes with mold in there?
Complaints can be filed with the Human Relations Division so that a tenant complaint can be filed so that an investigation can be done.
Yes, but not with mold. Not with mold, because I did that already and nothing can be done about mold. Now, the health department does have something about lead, but nothing in Vermilion County about mold.
Normally, in reference to mold, there isn't a law in reference to mold, but in many cases, if a person does have mold, there probably are some code enforcement issues that the tenant is dealing with. So I suggest that that person call my office so it can be investigated, just like the mayor said. So you need just to start with the city and see, again, if there are other issues involved in the tenant's house. So, I mean, it's a start. That's all we can do at this point.
Okay.
Ms. Rose, it's 431-2280.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ed Butler, 703 North Kimball, would like to thank Ashton Greer and comment on the Christmas decorations.
Yes, good evening. I don't think I need any introduction. Everybody knows.
Not really.
Yeah. Yes, I just like to say on tonight, I just like to, I'll make a habit. I haven't been making a habit of going through town there. I just kind of going back the other way, but I find myself there going through town, and this is the first time that, like the mayor has said, that decoration, I mean, it's astounding. During this type of season, when I come home and watch TV and, all I see is all those Hallmark movies. I got a wife at home and, that's all she watch. And I can kind of relate to those movies at downtown. And, I just can't wait until the snow come and, and it'll sure enough be beautiful out there. And so I just like to give kudos to Ashton and her committee on a job well done. So now, and also I would like to thank Ashton, also her and Nicole. I don't know if anybody else saw it, that They have this group, I am, you are, we are group, and I was one of the recipients of that, and to show my appreciation, how much I thank her and Nicole for this. It really touched my heart, last week when I saw one of the young men's, he's going on home now. We call him Calboo, and, Calvin Mays. And, so they honored him. And I really thank her and Nicole for reaching out into the Black community. I know those names are submitted, but that don't mean that she have to receive them. So I just like to thank her. And, that she's still sitting here, that she see this bag in my hand. And, to give this to her, and she can give it to Nicole. And so Ashton, I really appreciate what you have done, but on behalf of the NAACP, as well as the Three Kings of Peace, I thank you for thinking about us, and we love you.
Thank you, President Butler.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Sir.
I happen to know Cal Boo, as he mentioned there. Tremendous fella.
Young man.
Tremendous. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
I just want to thank Ashton and Nicole and our group and Vermilion Advantage for partnering with us. So we have so many heroes in our community, so many people that every day do great things for folks that people have no idea about. And so this is one small way we can say back to them, thank you, by letting people know who they are and the good things they know for the community. Now, here's the tough thing. We have so many great folks. It's hard to get through everyone, right? So, but we alternate. The way that works is you can submit those suggestions to Ashton and Nicole. And then every other week, 1 week we recognize someone from the county, and 1 week we recognize someone from the city of Danville. So thank you. And thank you, President Butler, for all you do for Danville.
Crystal Atcher, 2117 North Jackson, regarding the city of Danville bill.
Yeah, I wanted to address this. I came down today to inquire about this bill. And like I told them, we paid our September. She said, this is September's bill. September, October, November, those bills are paid. So I was wondering, y'all system is not caught up to let them know who has paid and on time.
That the bill that you have in your hand, Ms. Atcher, that would be for October.
She says September.
I'm sorry, I can't see. There's a pillar right in my line of sight. But if it's a white postcard, the bill would be from September 30th through 10/31, so October 31st. So it would be named the October bill. If you had a credit on your account from Danville Sanitary District, we received that information I think last Friday. That was imported into our system on Monday. So all accounts that had credits have now been applied. I'm not sure if I'm speaking in generalities because I'm not sure your account specifically. But I can leave my card with you and you can call me directly and we can look at that for you.
Yeah, we'll get you taken care of, Ms. Atcher.
Okay, because I'm getting ready to say we done paid up and
Okay.
we get this and it's like, she said September. We paid September, we paid October, and we paid November. So it's like, it's a double bill.
You haven't been billed for November yet, but you will be. It's always 1 month behind.
Are you saying you paid ahead?
Sewer. We took our Danville bill, the bill that we was getting, the Danville bill and the sewer bill to the sewer company, and we paid it. Then we get this telling us that we gotta pay another bill. So that's like, you're double billing us for service we already done paid for.
Are you talking about the $8.25 that you paid?
No,
Well, our comptroller will talk to you and they'll get you taken care of, Miss Hatcher. We'll get it figured out, okay?
okay.
I have a question about the bills. One in response to Mr. Mormon and also in response to what she's saying. So the people who paid in advance to sanitary district, that was not reflected on the bills, correct?
Correct. The sanitary district was not able to provide us any credit information prior to them cutting off the final payment. That wasn't a huge administrative burden to both them and us. So unfortunately, the first bill sent by us, which was the October bill, did not reflect any credit balances if they prepaid with the Danville Sanitary District or paid in advance or whatever the situation may be. What we've been telling people if they call and say they had a credit is that it's up to them if they're certain their credit is on their Danville bill, which has been another point of confusion. But if you're sure it's on your Danville bill, you can either pay us 1 month and the full credit balance will roll over to move forward, right? So you'll just pay that 1 month now instead of once your credit runs out. Or if you're sure, we're saying it's fine. You don't have to necessarily pay it if you are certain you have a credit balance. And now that it's been imported, that payment is now made. So we're leaving it up to them to choose what they want to do. But again, those credit balances are now in the system. All bills that have a credit balance that we received from Danville Sanitary District are in the system and are reflected on the bills and will be reflected on their next bill. So if they have a credit, it'll show amount due and it'll be a negative amount. It'll showing what they have on file with us.
And that just happened this week.
Just happened Monday.
Okay. And then the other question I have, and because I wrote a note because I was going to ask about it later, in response to something Mr. Mormon brought up. I think it was Mr. Mormon. The bills that are going out when they have an exemption going forward, those will be lowered going forward? So with the November bill?
Yes, if we've been notified that they qualify for senior exemption and we fact check that with their property taxes, then yes, their bill going forward. And we've been correcting their October bill too. So we're either having them amend their payment down to the $64.38 that they do owe, or if they went ahead and already paid, they'll have an $11.12 credit.
So even if they pay the full amount, they'll still get the credit going forward.
As long as they're notifying us, yes.
Do they have to notify you, or is it automatic?
If it was an issue with their bill, they would have to notify us. Otherwise, we're auditing, and that'll take time.
Okay.
And I would just like to add to that, part of the reason that it was basically a choice to not allow the credits because we found discrepancies when properties were being transferred. The senior discounts were not necessarily coming off. So the discounts so if a senior sold a home to a non-senior, the discount had maybe not been removed in the past. And we don't have the capability in this short time frame to audit every account in the entire city for accuracy. So in fairness to all people, to make sure that we're collecting the revenues and it's shared around appropriately, unfortunately, the choice was to eliminate the discount and make people have to contact us. We know that's a burden, but it's the only way for us to get it right at this point. The other thing to note on the credit side of things is that for people that believe they're prepaid multiple months in advance, there was a rate change that took place in October. So even though they may have a credit, it may not be for the appropriate amount for the months going forward, or may not go as far as they think that it will. So that's just something to be cautious of. We don't want to see people run into late fees and underpayment fees and stuff like that because they assumed that the rate was always the same and it's changed. So.
Thank you. Oh, yes, Alderman Brown.
Mayor, I would just like to say and give kudos to the finance department. I had a person, constituent in my ward, came to pay the bill and was told that the senior discount was allowable and sent her to the courthouse, the annex, which is now at 201 North Vermilion, and advising she went and it was taken care of. So just like to say to the finance, whoever, she worked with some young man upstairs and said that was very kind and explained to her what it was, and she went and it was taken care of. So she was appreciative that that particular employee here recognized that and helped her.
Alderman Brown, because it saves some money on property taxes too, right?
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Good. We'll make sure we pass that along. Thank you,
Okay.
And
Chairman.
the day I was there, the first day, Denise and the other boy up there, I can't remember his name. They were overwhelmed with the people that were standing outside to pay.
Mhm.
And we had one lady, and her husband had just passed 6 or 8 months ago, and she didn't have a clue.
Mhm.
And Denise helped her
Mhm.
go to the county, told her where to go, how to do it, because a lot of these people just don't have a clue.
Right,
But
they don't.
They took time up her that day to help her,
Yeah.
which is great.
And then that same thing with my constituent, said the people there were so nice to her to help her. Some young man, I don't know who it was, but she was very grateful for the help that she received when she was here with that. So
Well,
Yeah.
it would have either been Joshua, Gary, or Anton.
the way she described him, and I just met the young man, I think he's the tall guy, is Josh.
Okay, yes.
That
ma'am.
was the one she said was a tall guy.
Yeah.
So,
That's Josh.
said he was very, very helpful, and very nice. So
Thank you for that.
Reverend Frank McCullough, 440 North Jackson, regarding the Three Kings of Peace building project and community awareness.
Thank you, Lisa. To the mayor, to the city council, and to the supporting cast. I want to thank you for, after our presentation on a couple weeks ago, you suggested that we would get with your inspectors to go through our project that we had presented for the proposal for funding. I want to let you know that they did that. And I think it went well. And I think they did a great job. And I think we come out that meeting with them that it looks doable. And what we're going to do, one of the biggest things that they said that we need is to get an architecture. And we have required an architecture from Covington, Indiana. And he will contact Steve on Monday. He'll contact with them on Monday. And also, we have an opportunity to talk to the University of Illinois Architectural School, and hopefully we can entertain some of the students that would love to come over and be a part of this project so that we can move forward here with our community project. Saying that, the budget that we did give, saying that we know that the budget will change. So we'll come back with a different budget and hopefully a better presentation than we did before concerning that project. But to us, it looked doable, and I think the guys that went through it had a great time because, maybe they, everybody felt that that building was really trash, but it looked good. So we had it cleaned up, we had it ready for inspection, and I appreciate the aldermen that was there. I appreciate the inspectors that was there. The chief of fire department was there as well. But I think they did a great job informing us of what we need to do.
Okay.
Okay, on the second part, I have a community awareness, and I don't know if the council is aware, or you may not aware, Mr. Mayor, is that there are certain houses in our community is causing havoc and causing an atmosphere of crime in our community. These houses are called trap houses. Trap houses are houses that have gambling in them. They sell alcohol, and they have women strippers. And this happens 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. I noticed on the other day that our police department was called, and this time I didn't get the call because I was sound asleep, tired. But I normally call the police to situations that happen in my community. I do support the police; they do a great job. But what happened on this here incident was when the police came out, you maybe had 30 cars, maybe in a 200 feet, span, and the police removed those cars. 15 minutes later, after the police left, these cars came back. They went back doing the same thing they done before. So what I'm suggesting is to the council is that maybe we can look into somewhere, if they're gonna have parties, maybe you can give maybe they would have to come down and give a permit, get a permit, and then the city would stimulate the time that you close your party and what you can do and what you cannot do, at that particular house. I don't know what time the taverns and stuff close, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock, but this be going on 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. And, I don't think we should have that in our city. So maybe if they're gonna give a party, come down and get a permit, a signed permit, and the city work on stipulations of what you can and cannot do. And that way the police department will be aware of what's going on in your city at that particular time.
Thank you,
Olivia
Reverend McCall.
calls.
That's a good
have-
suggestion.
I have
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
Is this a business you're talking about or just a
I'm talking
trap
about
house?
regular homes, trap house.
Okay.
Trap house. What's happening with trap houses are used by drug dealers where they would rent people's houses. They would rent people's houses for maybe $400 or $500 because they know they're gonna make $7,000 to $8,000 at night. So they'll rent that house. That person will go out, get them a hotel for the night, but they allow them to use that house. They got gambling in, they got drinking in, they got women strippers and all that. It just caused a lot of havoc, in your community. Yeah.
Alderman Pickering.
I believe, don't we have a nuisance ordinance, Chief Yates, that if there's enough calls on a rental property that they can be.
It's not just a rental, it's any property.
Well, I'm sorry, any
Any
property.
property, yeah,
I'm sorry,
any
any
property.
property, but rental, yes.
There's a public nuisance ordinance and we just need to, I know which areas that you're talking about. And that's just something we need to continue with. Problem is, like you said, when you clear those people out, trying to find a responsible person that no one knows who the person is that lives there, and you're sorting through the crowd, trying to figure out who you hold responsible for, and they're not there.
Right.
So it is a problem, and we're dealing with it the best we can right now. But I'll have to get with the third shift lieutenant and find out exactly what we're doing and what we've done.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be a great effort to just help our police department, that they wouldn't have to continue to come back and forth each time that, each time you call, or even in that given night, they had to come back. But hey, if you don't have a permit, and you have a time that you should close down your activities, then that's what should be happening. Miss Teague.
I have a question. So if a house is cited for public nuisance, or if the police are called, does the owner of the property get a notification?
The problem is we don't know who the owners are at the time they respond. The issue with the permit is if they were to follow the rules of a permit, we wouldn't have the problem in the first place. So, it's a very frustrating situation. I'd have to know exactly which incident and which house. I'm assuming it's somewhere in the area of Cherry and
110 Cherry, Clavon Salone own that house.
But what what I'm asking is, does the owner ever get notified? Because it doesn't just happen over there. I mean, you and I have talked about the house across the street from my house. Right. So I know that prior to the shooting that happened where someone died at the house across the street from my house, which was before I became an alderman, it was an epidemic of parties over there at 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, because my mother lives a block away and she used to see them, and they always happen when I happen to be out of town. So it's not like, but I don't know if the owner of that property was ever notified. So that's really my question, is does the owner ever get notified?
Yes, once we've identified that it's a problem location or a nuisance location, we do get a hold of the owner. We've done it in multiple areas and sides of town, but I mean, it takes time and getting to each one. The problem that you're talking about is that you had the same owner, and then I believe a cell, but for some reason they kept renting to the same driven people or people that enjoyed the same things and having parties and no one responsible. And we often find that. So it's just a process. And then we get into the legal process of nuisance abatement and stuff like that. So
Can I ask
it's very
another
difficult.
question?
It is a difficult situation.
What time do bars close in Danville?
Matters what the permit is, but primarily 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Yeah. So and that's what I'm trying to drive the point at, is that if you close down bars, for having parties or their establishment, why can't we do it to a homeowner that has a party going into 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning? That's what I'm driving at.
We do, but then as you said, sometimes they come back.
They do. Yeah. So
We're able to use leverage with the liquor license with bars, as well as we have somebody who is ultimately responsible and has something to lose. To where whenever you're going to a party where there's a large crowd, primarily you're looking out for the safety of the people that are leaving there and the different community safety issues. And by the time you get to a point where you may have a person that's somewhat responsible, they have no idea who you're talking about. So it takes some homework and it takes some legal maneuvering.
okay.
Thank you, Pastor McCullough.
All right. Thank you.
Kiera Hemphill, 102 Elmwood. Aaron Trolia, 32 North Vermillion, regarding the municipal solid waste collection ordinance.
Good evening. So the party's at 110 Cherry tonight. I read through it. There were a lot of improvements made, but one concern I had was each day that the violation of this chapter continues, and each violation in the case of multiple violations observed at once shall be deemed separate offenses that are punishable as set forth in subsection herein. So if they mail us, though, we might not get that, might not get in the mail for 2 or 3 days. And if there's multiple violations, then are they just all continuing to rack up? That would be the main issue I would have with that. I mean, we might not get it for 3 days, and then we'd have 3 violations all go into the next and next offense for each day. I mean, that doesn't obviously seem fair. And are these violations going to get mailed out the same day that they're put on the toter? I mean, the timing of it seems to be a problem. I don't think, I mean, we would need some time to at least get it through the mail, if that'd be obvious. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trolia.
Jake Molenkamp, 32 North Vermillion, regarding the solid waste collection.
Hey guys, first of all, just want to reiterate, I want to thank everyone here for what y'all are doing with the city. I mean, all the city employees, Ricky, the changes you've made in the administration. I mean, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Totally agree with what you're trying to accomplish, with this ordinance, attaching fines to the solid waste collection violations. But I don't think the way that this ordinance is attempting to address it is going to be very productive. I think it's going to create some problems, and I'd just like to list a few. And first, I just want to say, I am a landlord, so I can see where, you might think my motivations are self-interest. I'll probably make money on this because we're going to have to notify tenants. We're going to have to send people out. We're going to be billing time to the investors. I mean, it's my benefit for you to pass this. I'm going to make money, but it's still problematic. Okay. And let me tell you why. The first thing is, I think you're creating negative interactions with people. I mentioned this last time, but I mean, I've never been called about, by the city about, hey, this tenant's leaving their toter out there, and if you did, I mean, if the inspectors called, and you guys, I don't know if you talked to any of the inspectors, feel free to call them. But when they do call us, I mean, we get on it. I mean, we're not 100%, we're 95%. But then that other 5%, we do follow up and get it. But, we're very responsive because, quite frankly, we live here. We appreciate the city. We want to see it improve. And, the one question I would ask, and I don't know if any of you have asked, have you tried to address this without attaching penalties? Have you tried just talking to people? Because I know we'd be very open, Chief Yates mentioned not being able to find, the owners of properties. We're fully available to the police department. If you want to call and ask us, hey, do you guys manage this property? Do you know the owner? Give us a call. We don't want that stuff going down in properties that we manage because it hurts the neighborhood, and we make more money
when we can offer quality rentals in quality neighborhoods. So we want the same thing you guys do. Please try to work with us. And by the way, I think homeowners might feel the same way. You know, if someone just gave them a call or stopped or even left a note on their toter, but it's just no fine. You know, I think a lot of people would, oh, I didn't realize that was a problem. Maybe, I don't know, but have we tried it? I don't think we have. There's no required notification still of the person that you're planning on finding. I mean, imagine if you drove through a red light camera, never got a ticket, but it doubled every day. I mean, that's just absurd. You know, you have to notify the person you're finding, you know, and if you know, because you have a list of you know, rentals in town, if you know that the person doesn't live at the property, then you can't consider that to be notification. I mean, it just doesn't count. You know, you know, you're not holding the person that's actually doing what you don't like responsible in the case of rentals. I mean, sure, if it's a homeowner, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, how motivated would you be to change some behavior if the city came through and started finding your bank? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, and I know you guys have the ability to levy fines against, you know, people in the town. I mean, there's no legal reason you wouldn't be able to do that. And you know, if you want us to help you, I mean, all you need to do is ask, you know, and please ask the city inspectors, you know, before you vote on this, call them, ask them, you know, when they call. I mean, I know there was a situation in the past with landlords that weren't responsive, but I think what you'd find if you started talking to the people that are interacting is that that's not the case. I mean, we want the same things that you guys do. The daily penalties are crazy. Like Aaron said, I mean, you know, I mean, maybe you should issue, even if you are going to have a penalty, issue it, give the people an opportunity to pay it. I mean, there should be some sort of reset period. You know, specifically in the case of rentals, you know, there could be a tenant change. Okay. And now you're dealing with different people. But even for homeowners, I mean, I think people want a nice city. You know, I think if you notify them, you know, it shouldn't necessarily just escalate. There should be some reset period. I propose 60 or 90 days. You know, just one last situation I kind of want to illuminate that is created if you do, you know, if you do put fines on this and you do pass it as an ordinance. We were told last time we were here that the property owner is required to provide a toter to the tenant. It's not an option. They're required to provide a toter to the tenant. Now what you're saying is if the tenant misuses that toter, uses it in a way that you don't like, you're going to fine the property owner. So Adam's example earlier about, you know, arresting the property owner for a DUI, it's even worse than that. You're requiring the property owner to buy him a car, and then you're arresting him for the DUI. I mean, hold the people accountable that are doing what you don't like. And please, if you are going to pass this, please consider some of the things I've said. I think there's still some big problems in the way it's written. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mullenkamp. Just so you know, there is under 5299D, it does expressly say that in the event that the city toter or other toter is at a property that is registered pursuant to the city's rental registration ordinance, warnings and citations shall be sent to the owner's or property manager's address indicated on the most recent rental registration application. So you will.
Wasn't required. If I've misunderstood that, then I take that back.
It says expressly here that it will be.
Okay. Then I misinterpreted that. I apologize.
That's okay. No problem. I think probably what you're thinking about, where it says the mailed notice that a warning or a citation has been issued shall be deemed a courtesy and a convenience to the property owner. That's just what it's saying is that more before that, it says warnings and citations shall be deemed having been given and effective on the date that the said warning or citation is placed on the city toter or other toter. That last line, the mailed notice that a warning or citation has been issued shall be deemed a courtesy and convenience to the property owner, refers to when the citation takes effect. So you will be receiving a notification.
Mayor Williams. Reference, just want to make clarification. Whenever we have a problem at a known location where it's a rental management company or whatever you have, we do reach out to those groups and we've had success with that. I'm talking about someone owns a house, it's in the family, someone rents it to somebody, they don't know. We find those people, or we find the management companies.
Thanks, Chief. Madam Clerk, do we have any other audience comments?
No, we don't, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council that hasn't done so this evening? Any other audience comments? Okay, apologize, I need to get scrolled back up here. Item 9, we have the approval of the payrolls for this evening. You have before you the payrolls from November 19th and 24th, as well as December 3rd of 2021. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. Item 10 is approval of vouchers payable. You have before you the vouchers from November 23rd and December 7th. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Yes, Alderman Teague.
I just have a few questions. On vouchers payable for December 7th, there are two payables to an Excella, one for $75.50.18 and another one for $11,325.28. What is the subscription service that we're subscribing to?
Those are for our inspectors,
Okay.
both in Public Works. So that's why you see them in two different areas. Some of the inspectors are housed in Public Works and some of them are housed in legal. So that's why you see two separate documentations, but that's the software that they use for inspections.
Okay. And then the other question I have was concerning pavement management services for $57,000. Is that streets or is that something else?
I believe that that's primarily sidewalks and various other
What's-
improvements throughout the community.
Does it give a fund code there? I'm not sure which one you're looking at.
It's
Or,
on
or a-
page
or a
5 of
consulting
7.
firm.
It's on page 5 of 7 under December 7th payables.
One, yeah,
One-
135457.
Actually, it's 52029.
Oh, because I'm looking at,
It must be looking at a different
Oh,
one.
so if through Fund 106, that's Danville Area Transportation Study.
It's 116.
Oh, 116, sorry. I can't remember that one. I don't remember what the fund number is, but essentially we've got a consultant that's doing ratings of all of our pavements throughout the entire city and helping put together a pavement management strategy and implement software for us to better manage our pavements and make decisions at the right time for how to maintain our pavements. So that's overall, I think it's $100,000, $110,000 contract. That's a portion of it. And that project should be wrapping up this month or next. So,
Okay.
And they're also assessing all of our sidewalks and things along with that too, Alderman.
yes. And that's federal dollar. Basically that fund is federal dollars that are received by the city. Well, that's as kind of an entity housed within the city. We deploy those dollars for transportation planning activities on a regional basis. So.
And then my last question was for the electricity for this building, 23,000. That's for 1 month? I scroll back up. It's on page 3 from December 7th.
You can give like a fund code.
001. It's at the bottom of page 3 of 7 from accounts payable for December 7th.
Can I pull the invoice and then can we circle back to this?
Sure.
Those are very extensive, so.
Okay, you can email me about it. I'm just curious, like, is that 1 month or multiple months? That's
Okay,
pretty large.
I'll pull that and let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Teague. Any further discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
yes,
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. And now is the best part of the meeting when I get to turn it over to my chairman. At this time, at this time, we'll receive our Public Services Committee report, Chairman
Okay,
Sheeping.
thank you. Puts us to, I guess we'll go for Public Services Committee report, 11A, the city's clerk report. You have anything for us other than what you got in your packets?
Just the
Anybody?
approval of the
No.
licenses.
Oh,
Just a
okay, we got the
report in the
approval of the
packet.
licenses that you've got. Any questions on any license renewals? Okay, and entertain a motion. Oh, that's not a, I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. And I need a second, please.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
Roll call, please.
No, this is just a voice,
Oh,
Chairman.
voice, that's right. I'm going to leave. You can take care.
No, sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. 11B is set in place on file the treasurer's report for like July 2021 and August 2021. I need a motion and a second for that as well.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate?
Yep.
Alderman
Any
Teague.
discussion?
I have a question for why some funds show an ending fund balance that's different from the cash balance. And also why some it's two questions. And also why some funds show an ending fund balance that's a negative amount.
That would be a question for our treasurer primarily. Unfortunately, she's not with us this evening. However,
I was just gonna say that I couldn't answer that question.
Oh.
Okay.
Because some of these differences are very large. Like, for example,
24.
landfill remediation fund has a ending fund balance of $901,000, but a cash balance of $101,000.
oh, that one I can tell you. That one I do know. We have to keep an $800,000 reserve as required by the federal government.
Okay, so the cash balance, the ending fund balance is of all of the funds, and the cash balance is just what we have available to us to use.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Any further discussion or debate?
Well, I'm going to say this because I made a problem this about 2 years ago. There's just so many things that we can do with the treasurer's office because it's a voted on position. I've got a real problem, and I understand we had problems with COVID. I have a problem that it's now November and we're getting July and August's reports. I brought this up a couple of years ago and we had a problem, and it took 3 months to finally figure it out, which was wrong. And it was a big cash, and it should never have been that long. Never should have been that long. So I feel your understanding here, and you really would have to go into it and really tear it apart to figure out what's going on without her being here. I'm telling you, it amazes me how we don't get hit harder on audits.
Well, the difficult problem, as you mentioned, Chairman, is that
Yes.
That's an elected
It's
position,
elected
and so
position, yes.
neither myself nor the council has authority over
None whatsoever.
that. I can say, there have been with COVID and then health problems, some things that caused us being behind, but it is something that we hope to approve, and we hadn't been cited for it previously, but it was actually a finding this year on our audit.
Yep. All right, is there any other questions to accept the and place on file the treasury report for July 2021 and August 2021? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The ayes have it. 11C. I entertain a motion to dispense with the reading and move for its approval, which is applying for FM Global Fire Prevention Grant Program for hydrocarbon monitor for investigations and fire prevention materials. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
I guess I'll need a motion. Okay.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate?
because I'm not repeating that word 3 times like you wanted me to last time.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes, roll call.
Alderman Pritchard,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, thank you. Puts us to 11D. A resolution applying for Walmart grant for fire extinguisher prop for training and fire prevention. I will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading and move for its approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Chairman Streaming and seconded by Vice Chairman Pickering. Any discussion or
Any
debate?
discussions? Not roll call, please.
Alderman Pertel,
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries.
Yes, thank you. 11E is a resolution authorizing a budget amendment for fiscal year 2021 through 2022. Office of Personnel and Human Relations, line must be 19 in the budget. I will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading and move for its approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any
Any
discussion or debate?
questions? And Not roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Iverson,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Pertel,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, thank you. The motion carries. Puts us to 11F. We have an ordinance amending the Danville City Code, Chapter 150, the zoning code. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second on this, please.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Seconded. How about discussion? And I believe this is the what? This is the one on the garbage toters?
No, this
No,
is
this
the
is
one
the
on the,
Oh, on the campers.
seeing
Well,
Alderman Pickering.
I think Phyllis.
I put these on each of your faces at the beginning. And I got these schematics from the department, the inspection department, that shows
Pardon
the
me,
difference.
Alderman Wands, can you lower your mic just a
Oh,
little
I'm
bit more, just
sorry.
to be sure we can, thank you. There you go.
I'll try to get closer.
Thank you.
Which shows, according to this ordinance, what is considered parkable and what is not. The first one's, for instance, the corner lot. You see the street on the right-hand side and the street on the front side. So those two sides would not be an area that would be parkable for an RV or whatever. The second one is an interior lot where there's a house on each side. You can park on either side because there are no streets on either side. So you're able to park on either side if you have a lot that is wide enough to hold a vehicle. And the rear would also, I believe, am I correct? Be parkable. Then on the back, this one's a little different. This shows an L-shaped house, which kind of throws things, the look a little bit different. They could, now you're looking at the L, you see the front yard and you see the rear yard. Okay, so they could have the side. Also, on the L houses, a side is considered, for instance, the garage would be in the back or perhaps on the side. of the house. So that would be considered a side. This whole side would be a side. So that is the only way that they would be parking on, because they're not, they have to be behind the house. Here's the house, right here at the front of the house. They have to be behind the house or back behind that front part of the house. Is, I
At
guess.
least even with you're saying,
Even, yes.
even with the
Even with
front
the house.
or
It can't
behind.
project in front of the house, correct? So I got these because I thought they were kind of yes.
I was going to wait for you to finish. Go ahead. I have a
Okay.
question, but go ahead.
They kind of explained themselves, and I really appreciated getting them because it made more sense to me what we were talking about, because I think it's easy to misunderstand what we are looking at if we don't have something to look at. And I do have some pictures that show these scenarios that are in compliance, of people that are in compliance. I have 5 of them. I have the L shape, I have the interior lot, and I also have the other one, the corner lot. So if you want to look at these, you're more than welcome to. But so these are all in compliance.
Okay.
Alderman Teagan, and then Alderman Ludwig.
Mhm.
Okay, so on the corner lot, because in the drawing, the street is in the front and on the right, so they can park on the left. So not on the street side, or they can park on the street side?
They
Because it
cannot,
says,
they cannot park on the street
side.
side.
so, okay, so they can park where there's no writing.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that I understood this one properly. And then based on this, the L shape in the interior lot, am I misconstruing this, or does this look like the picture of Mr. Osgood's yard?
Osgood's yard.
Mhm.
The problem is, as I think that I see now, is that Mr. Osgood's,
Yes, two
he has 2 streets. So
It's a corner lot.
it's a corner lot. So it would be the first scenario Alderman Teague on, it would apply.
Also with Mr. Osgood, he's parking it on his driveway, which is not. That's
But
That
it's
doesn't make
also
sense.
behind his house.
Right.
But it's on a quarter lot. You cannot park in the side yard. I mean, I need to look into this and talk to the inspectors more to be sure. That's why I said I needed some time to review it, but yeah, Alderman Ludwig. I'm sorry, Alderman Teague, were you?
I'm not clear, so go ahead.
I'm not clear. I'm not clear either.
yeah. Past that 15 years. He was my neighbor.
Yes, Alderman Ludwig.
Alderperson Wong, I just wanted to clarify that this schematic is from the current,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify that this schematic comes from the current ordinance, but it's not the amended ordinance, the proposal for the amended ordinance. Is that correct?
It is the same as what is in our new, what we're looking at, what we're voting at.
That part doesn't change.
That part doesn't
Of
change.
the ordinance doesn't change at
Okay.
all.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice Chairman.
Well, my question is, first of all, the rear yard. Why can't they park in the rear yard if it's not beyond the building? That, to me, that doesn't make sense.
But they can park in their rear yard.
Okay, so they can park.
Mhm.
Okay, so okay,
But
that makes
they
sense.
just can't park on the side.
Okay, so the interior lots, the word says side. If that driveway, why couldn't they park on the side? I don't understand, because it wouldn't be past the front of the house. And if that garage was in the L shape, well, no, that's right, it wouldn't be, right.
Yes.
So, okay, so they can park. I was thinking where it said side, okay. So where it says side is where they can't park. Okay, I'm clear now.
But I still say on the L shape, I don't know why, if that's interior, why they couldn't park on the long L if it's not extended out past the,
As long as it's not extending, it's my
Exactly.
understanding, as long as it's not extended
past
past
the house.
the
Correct.
house,
They can
Right.
park
they
there.
can
So
park there.
that side should be available.
So if
in
you're
the
if you're
interior.
if you're looking at these for the first one that says 4 corner lots, where it says rear yard and to the left of the principal building, they may park there, but they
Okay.
may not park in the front yard or where it says side.
I'm talking this one, on the where it says side. Why couldn't they park on that long side?
They can.
Okay, so that.
So
that is
here
one
for the
place they-
for interior lots, they can park on either the one that's on the back. They can either park on either side as long as it doesn't extend beyond the building, or they can park in the rear yard.
Okay, so that
But that's
side
for
doesn't apply.
interior though, not
Okay.
a corner.
Exactly, so that side doesn't apply, okay. Okay. And I also have a question too about driveways. Why can't they park on a driveway if it is not, if you're going around the back of the house, why couldn't you park in the driveway? If it's alongside of the house and it doesn't extend past the front of the house? Because a lot of people, will go around to the back of their house for a driveway. If they have or a cement area that would be on the other side of the garage, which would be in the back of the house. I mean, are we saying they can't park on a cement driveway?
If they
That doesn't
create
make sense.
if they create a cement slab that's on the side of their house, they can park there
Okay,
by our current
But
ordinance.
Mr. Osgood, it's his driveway. So
He could park his car there, but he can't park his RV there.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
And because it faces the street
Mhm.
and it's not, his garage is out past his home. The camper sticks out before, past the home.
That's why.
If you were to, Alderman, if you were to take this that Alderman Wands provided for us, the corner lot, and to turn it upside down, essentially that's the situation that Mr. Osgood is facing right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm drawing here. So his garage is here and his camper sticks out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's,
oh, okay.
his house line is actually back here.
Wow,
and his
yeah,
camper
you
sticks
can't
out.
see anything coming that way.
So it obstructs the view.
But that's a,
There are trees
that's
there, but,
subjective. I don't think it does, but
but by Alderman Ludwig.
I would just like to get more clarification on this driveway situation. So, for example, this corner lot, we're looking at the principal building, and if there's a driveway to the left, they cannot park in the driveway. It looks to me like it doesn't matter whether there's a driveway here on the left side, they can park anywhere in this area. And
They
if there's a
can.
driveway in the back, so why are we concerned about the driveways? Can someone clarify that to me?
Yeah.
If it doesn't really matter what the land's usage is, whether it's a driveway or not a driveway,
Exactly.
it all has to do with the spatial view of this from where they are from a street.
Mhm.
Is that correct? And where the position is of the house. It doesn't matter whether there's a driveway there or not, at least for everything besides a motor vehicle. Is that correct? If it's a motor vehicle and it actually moves on its own, then it needs to sit on a driveway. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
It's still not clear. It's still not clear.
I
It'll be
don't-
on an
Drive
improved
RVs.
surface, and it can't be in front of the house. Is basically what this ordinance says, isn't it? And if they park it in front of the house or not on an approved surface, then they're breaking the rule, according to this ordinance.
As it's currently written, or as it's currently written, or as it's
This
being.
part of the ordinance doesn't change even in the new
No.
ordinance. So right now, for example, I received a ticket for parking in my yard. One night I was moving some furniture, thought I was gonna go in, take a shower, come out and get something to eat. I took a shower, got tired, fell asleep, woke up, had a ticket because I was illegally parked in my own yard, right? It's not favoritism.
No favor-
I've asked them to do to me whatever they would do to anybody else. So I even told the code inspectors to get on my parents, but that's another thing. But if I had a camper there, it would have never been acceptable because I'm on either because I'm on a corner lot. So I could not put that in the corner. I would have to put it in the back of my house. Oh, Chairman Streaming.
Well, I'm going to tell you, but this whole ordinance and these ordinances probably none of the newer aldermen haven't seen because they go from one to the other to the other. And half of you still aren't clear about what's going on.
Exactly
Right, exactly.
I'm going to tell you, when they done this, and it was years ago, there was a problem in Holiday Hills because everybody had their bass boats and this boats and everything was parked in front of the homes. That's why this originally come up. And it's probably been 15 to 18 years ago.
It was prior to me being an
Yes,
alderman.
it's
so it
been a
was-
long time. And then they were happy. Well, we didn't have a whole lot of problems. And people started putting the hard surface down or having the concrete pad pushed it back. So now everybody out there is happy. I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't want to make any changes on this night, I'm going to vote no on it because I believe there's still a whole lot of things that haven't been answered. And the only way to do that
Exactly.
is to shut it down and let's rebuild it again and look at it where you're looking at all the ordinances on both sides of it. You know exactly what's going on. Because even when you give me this,
Yeah.
I don't even know if the backyard's allowed here, what's here. And if we're confused, how are the poor inspectors going to know what's going to go on?
Yes.
Well, they're not confused. They're the ones who drew this
Well,
for us.
okay. Okay.
I mean, that's why I was going to go through with you. If you look at it where it says 4 corner lots, you can park to the left of the building or in the backyard only.
Because I would like to see, if nothing else, that you give these guys a play where they can bring it in and they can clean it up and they can take it out. Believe me, it takes time to do all that. The other part of it is that's only going to, it needs to be in here somewhere because kind of give them a leeway or something between April and October because that's when the season is over. And these people know that most of them can't keep them in their places. And I'll tell you what, if you can find somebody a place for $200 for the winter, you let me know because it cost me 3 times that to put my boat somewhere. So I'm going to vote no on it.
I just think it's just not
Any
clear.
further
Was this the one
discussion?
that your committee didn't vote in favor of it?
This one
No, we
right here.
didn't.
Correct.
Okay.
The truth is this part of it doesn't change. Even if you do vote no, it
I
doesn't
know,
change.
but if we're going to do it, we need to look at all of it.
I
We
agree
need to
with
look at both of them
Chairman
because there might need to
Streeter.
be some changes on here.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
I concur with Chairman Streaming. I think the whole
Yes.
thing is extremely confusing.
And it gives you all winter to deal with it because right now you're going to be budget and tax levy and everything else.
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
tabling it.
no.
I
I think
table
you
it
should
to
vote
now.
it down if you don't.
Vote it down if you don't like it. We can rediscuss it and bring it back.
I think I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong one. Give me just one moment.
That's not clear. It's too confusing.
Can I ask a question while you're?
Ma'am.
Okay, my question is,
Yeah.
what is on our ordinance now? This actually doesn't really change anything, correct? It doesn't, it's just specifying. It's going into more specifics. Because the one that's on the book now, this does not change anything.
The changes are. Yes, sir.
Presumably, you all are focusing on paren 3. It looks like it's been changed. It has not been changed. There was an effort, and obviously, I failed in my effort to clarify what appears here as being stricken. The bottom line for this is if you have an interior lot, presumably you could park it on either side of the house as long as the item doesn't extend beyond the house. If you have a corner lot, you can park it, and the other one you can park in the rear too. If you have a corner lot, you can park in the rear or on the side that doesn't face the second street. That's the bottom line. That's how this was drafted. I would hope it's clear. I
Yeah.
think it's clear, but
It's-
that's what it
it's-
says. It
It's
doesn't
much
talk
clearer
about-
if you read number E3. This is much clearer than it was before. Right now, it says such objects, if stored or parked outdoors, shall be stored or parked only in side or rear yards, excluding side yards on corner lots that adjoin a public street.
Yep.
That's not clear. So what we changed to say is such objects, if stored or parked outdoors, shall be stored or parked only in side or rear yards. In the case where the lot is bounded on two or more sides by a public sidewalk, roadway, or street, such objects may not be stored in the side yard that faces public sidewalk, street, or roadway. So, I mean, that's telling you much more clearly than what it is now. I mean,
Now, if there was a house, and I don't know if there are any like this here in Danville, where there's a road on three sides, kind of like a peninsula, a property peninsula sticking out, then the only place that person would be able to park their motor home or boat or whatever would be in the back. So this, as written, it does not change it. Hopefully it clarifies it, but maybe it
Right.
doesn't.
Well, it doesn't when you throw the other ordinance in where it says it's got to be on hard surface or rock or et cetera, et cetera. That's what I think you're missing.
No, I see that because I
understand?
have that right here.
Yeah, but a lot of us didn't get, a lot of them, these didn't get that or didn't know where to look.
Yeah, if you look at 150.064 and you look at subsection paren 5, and I'll paraphrase this using the language. Well, I won't paraphrase. All off-street parking areas, and it goes on to say, including areas used to sell vehicles which require state Illinois licenses, and access ways shall be paved with hard surface, including oil and chip, concrete, asphalt, or brick, with work completed in accordance to specifications in the most recent version of, and then there's a cite to that.
I think my biggest concern is that none of this addresses the issue that Mr. Biggs brought up when he came to us previously. So in my mind, it's clear, but it still doesn't address the issue.
No.
And that is my reason for voting no, because we have people who with actual issues that weren't addressed by this change.
but most of the people on the council said that they understood the issues, but they didn't want the change because it created, Alderman Brown said it created issues for kids who were playing. Alderman Juan said people didn't want to look at it. They wanted to be able to see down their road, so most of the aldermen have said that they did not want to make the changes that Mr. Biggs requested previously. I mean,
I think those
Unless-
statements were also made before Mr. Biggs got an opportunity to address us for himself, to present his concern to us, to see if we could come up with a resolution that could address his concern. Because the suggested change was made, we voted it down or tabled it, and then Mr. Biggs came to us after the fact to talk about what his concern was, which was not included with the original drafting.
It was not.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here. Can I ask what that was? What was he addressing?
What he was addressing was, and Alderman York could probably speak to it because he came with Mr. Biggs to City Hall to have conversation about it in more detail. But based on my recollection, what Mr. Biggs had said was that he gets cited regularly. There are people in the same neighborhood who maybe live a block or two away, but are in a different ward who do not. And every time he brings his camper home and just parks it overnight to clean it, and then go back to storage someplace else, he gets cited every single time.
Within 24 hours.
See, that's why I stated it needs to be something in there between August and 1st November.
And part of Mr. Big's situation is his neighborhood. There's nowhere, the houses essentially,
They're
they
too
face the
close.
street, perpendicular, and there's no room between houses. So he either parks it on his driveway or it has to be stored elsewhere. And he has a storage facility, but he's an avid camper. So when he comes home within 24 hours, he gets an ordinance violation, and he hasn't had an opportunity to address, cleaning his camper out or setting his camper up. So
Right. And when we had the discussion about whether or not I recommended that we add on there that we allow them a 2-day period or something. 80% of you, 90% of you said no, you didn't want that because how on earth could you possibly enforce it? So, I mean, we've already been through all of these scenarios at some point. Yes.
If you
Corporation
go to
Counsel.
subsection 6, it says no recreational vehicle, et cetera, shall be parked within any public right of way. Oh, that's public right of way. My mistake.
I'll be honest, it doesn't matter to me because it's fine as is. I think that it's better with some clarification. This is only on here because people and aldermen have asked for it to be. The administration has no preference, so we vote it up, vote it down, table it till next year or kingdom come. I don't really care, but I do think that we have put all the issues out there multiple times and everyone has said clearly, most people have said clearly, that they don't want folks to be able to park in their driveways. Now, if that's something different, then we recrafted it to remove that because you all asked that we do that. So, I mean, I'm confused at this point as to what everyone wants, quite frankly.
Because if you vote it down, you still have everything.
Yeah, it's the way-
Anyway.
yeah. But that doesn't mean you can't work on it over the winter and
Right.
bring something back.
I'll let y'all work on it. We've done everything that you guys have asked.
Well,
And
that's probably what it's going to take. As
Mhm.
long as you don't have more than 3 or 4 of us at a time.
Yeah.
yes, Alderman Wands.
I guess I'm just going to stir the mud a little bit further. I have in my hands all the violations to do with this particular thing since May. No, since 3. What's 3? January, March. Okay.
How many are there, Alderman Wands?
Quite a few. But just to make
There are
it
multiple on
clear,
each page.
I'm sorry.
There are multiple. I mean, it's not just one per page. There are.
Oh,
It's a whole list.
There's 20 or so on each page.
So there are hundreds, roughly,
Yes.
you would say.
And 36 of them are within a certain neighborhood. So there's, as I looked through this and studied this, as far as fair, everybody's, when you have this many, everybody's pretty much being treated the same, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I can see. It's page after page after page. I don't know. I'm just bewildered at why people are, for one thing, this hasn't changed. Right. This hasn't changed. This was to try to clear up what we were talking about as far as sides, front, back, streets, etc. It seems like I muddied it rather than made it clearer. I'm sorry.
I think it's clear, personally.
It made it clear to me because I'm a person that I have to see something to really get a grip on it. So it helped me. So I thought maybe it would help some of you. Maybe it didn't. The pictures I sent around. I sent those around to back this up to show you how compliance, you can park this and that and the other and still be in compliance of the codes, okay? This I got because I was curious. And so went through it, marked it in colors so I could see what I was looking at, and realized that our inspectors are doing their job. That's for sure. And that's what we hire them for, isn't it? It's not to play favorites or anything else. And like Mayor, I've told him, I said, if I'm doing something wrong, let me know, because I want to do it right. And I think any of us that are citizens that care about our city would feel the same way. So I don't understand my maybe because I worked so much on this, and maybe I have a little bit clearer view than someone that hasn't worked on it. But I don't understand what the confusion is. I really don't. I mean, we're changing almost nothing in it. And yet we're confused.
Alderman Ludwig.
I just want to say that with the amendments here, we are just doing clarification for this particular statute. So we could vote in favor of this if we wanted to, just to clarify it as it is right now. And then we can go back and we can make an amendment in a way that maybe or at least propose an amendment that maybe would change something in here in favor of what we've all been talking about, to allow people to bring their campers, RVs, trailers, whatever, and fill them and clean them, and then, not leave them on that property. But we could, at this point, still vote in favor of clarifying this and then go back to the table and make changes later throughout this.
Miss Ludwig, you could do that this evening if you'd like. I mean, you
We
could.
could.
You could.
Right. Well,
I
the
don't think
thing
we're
is,
ready to do that.
we did ask for feedback, and Alderman Ludwig provided extensive feedback. I believe we heard back from Alderman Wands. We didn't hear back from anyone else. I think maybe Mr. York. But I mean, we've asked for feedback. We've asked for a direction on this. We tried to take everything that you said. You all weren't in favor previously of allowing a day or 2 or 3 days. Most of you, maybe 2 or 3 of you, were for it, of allowing people a couple of days to park. So we took that out of there, which was in the original, right? And I mean, we've done everything that you've asked. So at this point, I appreciate what you said, Alderman Ludwig. This is literally clarifying it to make it more easy for people to understand. So I would appreciate your support of it. And if you all want to do anything else, you're welcome to write something and bring it to us, and we'll be happy to consider it. But we've taken everything that you've given us into consideration. So I don't have anything further to offer. Any further discussion or debate? Alderman Wands?
I just don't understand how it could possibly be enforced to allow a 2-day variance on each side of a camping trip. That means you'd have to have your inspector running out there, and how do they know if it's been there? They have sub areas. They're only there once every 10 days or something like that. So you could get away with leaving it for 10 days.
Well, couldn't we say the same thing about the toters then?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could.
Or grass, or
Mhm.
every other thing that the inspectors enforce?
You could.
Yeah, but I think that that's Alderman Wan's point, is that because you can't tell, why add more confusion to the equation. That's essentially what you're saying, right? Because if you don't allow it to park there at all, then it's not anything you have to ascertain.
This is not like grass. Alderperson Wands is quite correct that the inspectors get to each sector once every 10 days. They don't know when a camper is put on the property. A homeowner could say, well, I just put it on there yesterday and all. And they just, if you're going to have 100 violations that Alderperson Wands has noted, the inspectors don't have the time to go back to other sectors to check on that. With grass, if they get a notice that they have grass that's too high, and they come back 10 days later, they diary that up in terms of when they come back to their district or their circuits, or sectors, and they will look, and either the grass has been cut or the grass hasn't been cut. We're not talking about cutting grass and then worrying about growth that's happened from the time they cut it till 10 days later, let's say. It's, if the grass is 18, 20 inches high or more, and they come back and it's still 18 or 20 inches more, or however much grass grows in another 10 days, they'll be able to easily spot that. So it becomes an enforcement issue. Now, I don't have a position. I'm with the mayor. I tried to respond to what you all had communicated to me before this even appeared the first time around. And then we worked on with the good offices of Alderperson Ludwig and the mayor, we worked on trying to modify based on what we heard in public comment and what we heard from you all. Obviously, I don't think we can ever address every single camper owner who has a unique situation. That's a policy call on you all, and voted up, voted down. I did my job. I gave what was asked. The mayor did his job, and to bring it to you all because a number of you asked for it and all. You voted down, as has been said. You're still stuck with the situation that exists with this problem with where do you park these things. If you voted up, you got some clarification, but there are going to be some people who are going to have difficulty complying with it. There's no question about that.
Any further discussion or debate? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Brown,
No.
O'Kane,
No.
Poor,
No.
Streebing,
No.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
No.
Williams,
No.
York,
No.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
No.
Iverson,
Yes.
5 yes.
5 yes, the motion
carries.
fails.
It fails. Puts us to 11G of a resolution amending fiscal year 2021 through 2022 Police Division, line number 21 in the budget. Make a motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Any questions on this resolution? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman O'Kane,
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
Streebing,
Yes?
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. Puts us to 11H, items of information. I do not believe we're having a meeting in after Christmas. So it will probably be after the first of the year.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And that's all of our report, public services.
Thank you, Chairman Streaming.
Yes.
At this time, we will receive our Public Works Committee report. Chairman Four.
Thank you, Mayor. 12A is an ordinance amending Chapter 52 of the Municipal Solid Waste Collection Ordinance. Any motion put it on the table in a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or debate on item 12A?
Yeah. Now, this is the one that covers the toters, is this right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On the new revision we got tonight, I think you need to take the one-time notice of the issuance. That needs to be striked out. I think it
Oh,
should.
this isn't.
No.
This
No.
is this is
This-
Alderman.
Oh,
Vice
this
Chairman
is
Pickering's
yours? I
suggestion.
thought,
It was
okay.
a it's going to be an
This is
amendment.
suggested.
Right,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
Don't strike it out yet.
I'll keep my mouth shut. I'll keep my mouth shut. Go on, never mind.
Yes. 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 It's this. huh?
Is there any discussion or debate?
I don't have that. I
I'm
don't even know
sorry.
what this is.
This is not anything from the administration. This
no,
is
it's
just
from
a
mine.
suggestion that an alderman intends to make as far as amendment
An
goes.
amendment.
Alderman O'Kane.
Who enforces it? Is there anybody else to write up anything besides the inspector or the environmental inspectors? Is anybody in public works or anything? I look for needing more than the environmental inspectors for the first year. And number two, we need to educate the people what the actual law is or the ordinance is as far as what they can do with their toters. Yeah, I hate to have them paid to find out what the law is. We need to let them know ahead of time.
A mailer will be sent out, and that's why this doesn't take effect until February. Because they'll get an opportunity, whatever you all decide. We have to know what it is that you all want to be enforced first. That's number one. Because if we send something out to the people now and then they change it, then we're setting them up for failure, and we don't want to do that. So we have to decide what it is that we're going to enforce. Then once we have that, we will send it out to the public. That way they have time to get used to it. We have plenty of time to give them multiple warnings if they need it before this takes effect. And then once it takes effect, everyone will literally have received a physical notice in their home if they're a homeowner. If not, the property managers and owners of the property will have received a notice of what we intend to enforce, and then we will begin enforcement. So we took exactly what you said into consideration and did just that.
And can we have somebody like the lead worker for the garbage, or somebody else also writing up tickets? Because we won't get any grass inspection or anything else for the first 3 months while they're writing up tickets on the toters. And I desperately want to see the toters back where they belong.
I know you do. That's why we're working on it to get it right, Vice Chairman. Yes.
In terms of grass inspections, my guess is there are not going to be many grass inspections in February, March, or April because grass isn't growing then. However,
Well, but we still got mattresses and everything else we're
yes,
chasing
I mean
down.
that's a different thing, of course. And they're going to be, if this goes into force, from at least the legal department's perspective, we have our 3 inspectors. They will be in their areas, and as they come upon toter problems, in each of when they're in their particular sectors, they will presumably, if there's a violation, will note the violation.
They also, when we discussed it, Jim, don't we intend for them, if they have specific violations, to go and follow up with that, even if it's not in their ward? I mean, not in their ward, in their area for that day, their service area.
They will try. They may even. One of the things that we have to work on with them, and we've talked with Public Works folks, we're going to have to work on figuring out also with garbage run, because obviously the garbage pickup runs don't correlate with our sectors. So that's, and I mean, if in February, at least from a draftsman standpoint, February 1, 2022 is not, none of this is engraven in stone.
Okay.
We wanted them to start, Vice Chairman, before we get to external environment, additional things like grass and weeds. We know we're going to have
Well,
bad
I
houses,
understand.
garbage year round, but we wanted to give them a couple of months to get a head start on this before they have to address those other issues. That way they have an opportunity to get a
Okay.
good start.
How many areas is the inspector looking at it in his area? It used to be there was 8 areas that they saw, and then Friday was a makeup day to go back and re-inspect. What are we doing now? Is there a makeup day for them to go back on
there
anything?
There are 10 each area. There are 3 areas. Cities divided into 3 areas, and each area is divided into 10 sectors. Now,
So there's
on
not a
certain-
makeup day or a
They don't have a specific makeup day, but they will, depending on the nature of the violation, more serious ones like serious structural problems, they will go back and inspect another area. They diary them up in their software, and it sends them a notice: inspect this, re-inspect this, because they need to. Some of these they need to do that before they go to court. If the violation has been corrected, then the case is dismissed.
Well, but with the toters, it's not dismissed, is it?
It's not what?
If you write a ticket on a toter, it's not going to be dismissed.
No, because the violation has occurred. The grass, they get a warning, basically. They get a notice, cut your grass. And if they don't, and they come back, 10 days later, or whenever, this could be 7 days later, whenever they diary that up, if the grass is cut, the case would be dismissed.
Alderman T.
That's still a violation.
Yes.
I argue that.
You're right. The goal is to get, not to have court cases. The goal is to get compliance.
Go ahead.
What are the hours for code enforcement?
I believe it's 7:30 to 3:30.
Okay, so in instances where, so this ordinance is about toters being closed.
It's about toters being closed, toters being put away.
Okay, and
Open,
closed or put away.
Put
Because-
back,
not put away.
put back in their proper places. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
A couple of things. It's many things.
okay. Well, because the first item on here is the lid of said toter must be fully closed. And the reason why I asked the question is because, like, I commonly take out my garbage in the morning. And usually by the time I leave the house, it's already been picked up. So I'm sitting here going, if I were to have violated that, in the off chance that I do, and sometimes I do where it's not fully closed because there's a big box or something in there, nobody would ever see it. So my first thought is, well, depending on what the situation is, the picked up part got the code enforcement officers would definitely see because they would still be there, after garbage day. But other things, maybe not. So people so those instances like where you guys shared pictures last meeting where people's garbage was overflowing, if the garbage pickup happens to be, maybe it's the beginning of the route, maybe it's because I live really close to Public Works, I don't know. But some of those instances, depending on when the garbage gets picked up, the code enforcement officer may not ever see it, even though their garbage could be spewing out over the neighborhood. Because if they bring their garbage out after 4 p.m., which is when it's supposed to come out to the curb, and then it's picked up by 7:30, you still have the issue with the flying garbage and no violation ever been given to the person who caused the problem.
This is true.
They don't, but correct me if I'm wrong, Director Carpenter, I may be on this, but my understanding is that if it's overflowing or if it's not, the lid isn't down, they don't pick it up, correct? They notify code enforcement or something and then?
No, we've always picked
They
it
pick
up.
it up.
You can't just leave it. What we did now, if I may just give a little background to some people that may not have been on the council. 14 years ago, we put the rules out before we ever delivered a single toter.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter, we mailed something before we ever actually picked up all these units with an automated truck. In the last 14 years, my assistant and I in solid waste periodically would go out and tag everything. And as I expressed to some of you before, that would work for about a month or two, and then it'd all go back to the same thing. Probably about 8 years ago, we put a camera in every single truck. The drivers took pictures, and they were all sent to code enforcement. And, you had no bite behind it. What are you going to do? There was no fine for it.
Yeah.
So the people learn that, and they just do what they want to do.
So then we do have cameras in the trucks to be able to capture those images. Okay.
We quit taking those pictures, but we still do have the cameras. So in instances such as yours, Ms. Teague, the driver would take the picture knowing that there's no way anyone else is going to get there. The drivers could continue taking pictures and just forward them to code enforcement every evening, which is similar to what we do with the major collections and all the extra collections. We take pictures of those just so that we have a record when a citizen calls in and tries to say, no, that wasn't my residence. Well, that's easy enough to prove. So, but that is the most viable way to get a handle on this. It's just that as somebody, and I don't know, I believe it was Alderman O'Kane said, we're not going to forgive these fines, are we? Because if we do,
No.
There's no point.
which is very much what happens in day court when the
Right.
inspectors write up a garbage issue. Oh, well,
Exactly.
the hearing officer
We don't have any
dismisses it.
fine
That,
currently.
that gets us absolutely nowhere. So
Chairman Streaming?
Yeah, because I remember we almost 2 years, everything the code inspectors would send in, they'd gone. So what was the sense of going through all that to do that?
Not anymore,
Not anymore.
thankfully.
You brought up something, though, that I think I brought this up a couple months ago about repairs on these. And some of the pictures we've seen, and you can walk around, Stuff is falling off. They're hanging down to one side. That's why some of this stuff's open. And I think at the people, if you put something out and let them know that the city will take care of repairing some of these, some of the openness will stop. I've got a toter at home that I used at one time just for just for garbage, and then the other one for yard waste. I would say probably last year sometime, just by them dumping it, split the whole bottom of it. Well, then I had to deal with raccoons and everything else. So what I've done, I flipped them. And I got the same too, but I flipped them. Now, there's a lot of people out there that don't know that you guys will fix it or take care of it. So I think that's something to be addressed.
We can include that in the
You
mailing
should
as
include
well.
that,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
It's something small.
Alderman Pickering.
I just want to address some of the comments that was out there about creating negative interaction. I have a person in my ward that for 4 months, they had totes across the street. For 4 months, they were never put up, never put up. The garbage was all out in the street. This lady went out every day and picked out garbage. So that is a negative. So that is something we need to correct. And having to talk to people and our inspectors, yes. I bet I contact an inspector and people at least once or twice a week about this. So yes, I have contacted the inspectors and I have talked to people. And the people that abide by our rules, they're the ones that's getting hurt. It's the people that will not abide by our ordinances that are getting hurt. And there was another comment. I'm sorry, I've got to go back here. Well, I can't. But anyway, that's my concern. And the problem is, and I agree, I do feel like the landlords need to be contacted. I really do agree with that. And then after everyone has talked, I do have a suggestion, an amendment I would like to put in here, but after everyone has talked. So, but that is my concern, about that. So.
Alderman Ludwig.
This is just a question of logistics. If the inspectors are the primary enforcers of this ordinance, will garbage
hardly
collection
hear her.
routes change to coordinate with the code enforcement sub-areas so that inspectors are not driving all across the sub-areas chasing toter violations?
I can answer you that probably won't happen.
We
No.
will probably, it wouldn't be the garbage routes, Alderman. If we change anything, we would
Really
likely have
good.
to look at our inspections.
Okay.
Our
okay.
inspection routes and possibly change that a little bit.
Because, I mean, that's going to be very difficult for the inspectors, for their time and just for the city expenses if they're
Right.
driving all across. I mean, if you look at, here is the code enforcement sub-areas map. I mean, if there's garbage routes here and the inspectors working down here, he's driving all the way up here just to check one or two, calls that he gets from that
Right.
area. And that's just a waste of our resources.
I also think that having the garbage collectors themselves resume taking photos will help us a ton with that as well.
Okay.
Chairman, I think.
Alderman Pete.
Yeah, I had one other question. So I'm assuming, and I think through things so in a lot of detail, I'm assuming that we use the same type of tag or system that we're using now for anytime someone has a code violation, which is the thing that right now we stick on the door and it's tied around or whatever. I'm assuming that's what will be put on the toters, or would it be some sort of sticker?
This will be a new tag that's
Okay.
specifically for this. That'll be bright colored so folks can't say they didn't see it.
Well, it depends.
Huh.
I'll be honest. Because if I come home late at night,
They're putting it on the handle of the container.
oh, it would be on the handle.
Yes.
Okay. I'm still going to say it depends. Because if I come home late at night and I'm on the telephone and it's 9 o'clock and I'm just pulling the toter in, I'm not even looking at it. Now, I might see it next week.
Yeah.
If I take my garbage out next week, which I don't always take my garbage out weekly. So I would suggest that it be put on the door too of the house.
Well, that's how we're going to mail them something as well. It says that the owner will be,
But the owner may not be
Wait,
the tenant.
Mayor, I believe they are putting it on the door right now as well.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Because this doesn't say, because what it says was mailed to the property owner, but it doesn't say mailed to the resident. And the property owner may live somewhere else. I have a rental property, and if it gets mailed to my house, I don't know if it's going to be mailed to the house where it happened.
No, you're looking at Miss,
No, I'm looking at
Okay.
D.
okay.
A notice of the issuance of a warning or citation shall be mailed to the property owner.
But they would get the tag, correct?
The
person that
tenant would
lives there
get the tag.
If the tenant brings the garbage in. I'm just thinking about all situations and scenarios.
Bring the garbage in.
Yeah,
But
but if they don't bring the garbage in,
They're
they're
in
not gonna
violation.
know anyway.
But if I'm saying if someone else brought the garbage in, my dad brings my garbage in, he doesn't live at my house.
Right,
He may see it. I might not see it.
right.
But
I
I think
don't
the
thi-
problem is that you will do what's right.
I will do what's right if I knew about it, but if
Right.
I have to see it in time to know about it.
But if they're, yeah,
If we have to put these tags on people's garbage cans, 90% of the time, they're not doing what's right.
Well,
right.
Well, you still got 40% that's not gonna care, so.
Right.
Chairman?
Yes.
In what regards to what Alderman Teague is saying, maybe your situation, maybe not say, but I think people are gonna be made aware of this when this change takes place. So maybe that would maybe cause us to take notice, to check. We need to start, checking. And I would think that, and as far as the landlords, I know you have some property, but landlords that have multiple properties, if you own a place, I think that's your responsibility to check. Go around to these places and check and see if these people are abiding by it. Because I'm sure the landlords are going to get a notice that this is what's changing. So I don't know if you have property manager or whatever, but have them check. You may just have to change your situation some, just start checking and making sure if these people aren't doing it, then that's between you and your tenant. Then you have to make changes with your tenant because, like you said, that's going to come out of your pocket. So I don't know how you want to handle your tenants, but I think that if everybody is on board with this, know what's going on, I think we're all going to be notified ahead of time and in proper time, since this won't go into effect until February. Am I correct? That's
Yes,
what-
ma'am.
I'm not looking at
Yes,
it, but that's
Alderman.
what it said. So I think that's fair game.
Another
wanna
thing
make
we'll
sure-
do is, I'm sorry, Alderman Teague.
I just want to make sure that the tenant doesn't have a reason to say they didn't see it.
Well, that can happen, but the owner, whoever the landlord would be, is going to get the notice anyway. So
I think another thing that we want to make sure that we do is before we send out the letter, we'll also forward it to you all for feedback. And I would really hope that you all would provide feedback
Yeah.
because
I'm sorry, council he had.
No, finish, Mayor.
yes, I just hope that you all will provide feedback to make sure we cover everything that everyone believes should be there.
In
Stated
terms,
this
in terms of
ordinance?
seeing the tag,
An exhibit
they
or-
don't see the tag.
Said the
It
exhibit?
means either they're not pulling into their driveway or they're entering their house through a
Chairman,
door
Vice Chairman.
where they don't need to use their driveway. Or it means they don't bring their toter in, which means it's sitting out there until the next garbage day. And when they go get it, at some point, they're gonna go get it and they're gonna see possibly more than one tag hanging on that thing. I mean, there is no way to create a complete utopian
Doesn't mean down
situation.
or-
We're never going to get 100% compliance because there are going to be people who don't care.
Yeah, and you're right about that. Some just aren't going to do it.
I think, well, Alderman York had his hand up.
Okay, well, and I'm thinking in a different direction now because there's two issues. People don't pick up or bring the toters back. The other issue, I was like, why do people overstuff them? Because they only have one toter. They have a large population in the home and they can't afford $80 for another toter. I was like, I have the luxury of owning 3 or 4 toters because I can pay for them. I was a victim of Carl when he said, hey, you've overstuffed this. I was so mad. I was like, and it was because I didn't want to buy another toter. I was too cheap. Okay. But it worked for me because I follow the rules. So I went and bought another toter and solved my problem. People that rent can't necessarily, I mean, they have a lot of people in there. And when my daughter comes home from college, my garbage doubles. I don't know why, but it's always twice as much. And so, that's why I bought another toter. But a lot of these individuals, renters, don't have the money to buy another $80 toter, and it presents a problem. That's why they overstuff it. So, I don't know.
Alderman Vaughn.
Even the overstuffing wouldn't be as much of a problem if people bagged it like I believe our code says they're supposed to. I have a neighbor that just throws it in. And you know what happens when they dump it? It goes everywhere. If they would put it into the bags and then put it into the toter, the incidences of it flying everywhere would be a whole lot less, even if the lid was somewhat open, because it would be more confined. Anytime you throw something that has numerous parts, it's going to spread all over. But if it's in a bag, you might lose that one bag, but at least it would still be confined to that one bag, and it'd be a whole lot simpler to get it cleaned up.
I grew up poor. Okay. Garbage bags cost money. So people don't buy garbage bags. They just dump it in the garbage can and then they dump it. So I understand where they're coming from. Man. But it's a problem. I'm not saying I'm in favor of it. It's a problem, but I don't think a lot of us are thinking about some of the reasons some of the people do this, because we live in a different world. Yeah, everybody at this table does.
Right.
So,
And I have the problem with groundhogs all over the city. And they get in my
raccoons.
garbage can and tear everything up.
Yes.
So
That's why if the lids are closed,
it's
that's,
no, they
can
get
still
in
get
there.
in
Get in the
close.
lid.
They
Yes,
get
they
in.
do.
They get in and tear
Yes,
it up.
they do.
I have
Have
them,
to
but
ban it
they
down.
don't have to get in my garbage.
I've put bricks on top of the garbage can and they
Yeah,
still
I do
move
that.
them.
They
and get
toss
in.
the bricks.
Raccoons are very good for
You have
that,
to strap
especially-
them. That's the only way you can do it, because we've done that.
Director Carpenter.
If I may, and please excuse me if I step on any toes, because I think you all know that I'm going to speak from my heart when I talk. As citizens, we all have a responsibility to do what should be done. I asked council in a meeting 2 weeks ago, because I had a law class once. The first thing the teacher said when we walked in the class is, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Exactly.
I'm not calling anyone ignorant, but we all have a moral responsibility to ourselves, to our neighbors, to our community, our state, our country. And all I'm hearing right now are all the excuses as to why we shouldn't do something. I'm sorry, like I said, if that steps on your toes, but as a veteran, that's the way I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Carpenter.
Okay. Just one other thing that I guess one of the landlords said at the last meeting was that if they do have to pay these fines, they would have to pass it on to the people, the renters. My thing is, if you pass it on to them, they're going to start watching where they put their guard. They're going to think about it twice. So, and the other thing is, I welcome any of my constituents to call me at any time. So if you want to tell them to call me, you tell them to call me. Thank you. Oh, now time for the amendment? I would like, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, I would like to, I think everyone, I do feel like the landlords do need to be notified, but I don't feel we need to notify them every time, not only landlords, but our homeowners also, property owners. So what I have done, if you look on the sheet under D, and I give you the sheet, the only thing that was changed was a one-time notice of the issue of a warning shall be mailed to the property owner as a courtesy. And I feel that I don't think we need to mail them every time they get a violation. to me, we're spending a lot of money, we're spending a lot of time. And in that one-time notice, it should explain what the violation is and how they will do it. Like the first is a written violation and they have, well, and then if they get the second one, and I need to clarify this too. So the first one, they will get the sticker, they won't get any kind of a violation or a fine. The second one will be $50. If they pay it within 10 days, or within 10 days, it will be 25. The third is 100, but if they pay it within the 10 days, it's 50. And then the fourth is, I don't have that.
The fourth is between 250 and 500.
Right.
Vice
So,
Chairman.
right, so it's not going up every day. You're not paying a fine, it's not increasing every day. I think like the previous one, maybe we had talked about. So that's not on there anymore. So what I would like to do is amend it, D, to say.
As written in this handout that you gave
Yes,
us.
as written in the handout, that the one-time notice of issuance of a warning, that we would just send the one time.
So you made that motion or second for the amendment?
I make the motion for the amendment, yes.
I have a question. Is that just for the first offense or is that?
Would only be for, yes, when the first time, when they
Oh.
get that notice.
They would not be notified by mail after that initial first
Correct.
notice?
Correct.
Only receive the tag on there.
No, mail-in, the mail-in notice.
Right.
Right, the tag and the mail-in notice.
For
Is-
that
is there a
particular
s-
address.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I had some more questions, but
I have questions also.
There has to have a
Second for the
a
amendment.
second for the amendment to be considered if your questions are about the amendment.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Alderman T.
What happens when the property changes hands or when the person who lived in the property who caused the violation is no longer in the property?
My thought is if it is a rental property, the property owner or the rental, they've got that notice. Even if it's another property, a renter in there, they've received that notice.
But then if the first time that a brand new person moves into a property and they violate it, then they immediately are fined.
That's not fair.
That's how the
The
amendment
landlord.
said.
Good
Yeah,
enough.
right.
The
And that's.
landlord.
And if you buy a property that already had fines and you violate it, you could be immediately fined, possibly $500,
That's right.
because you have no notice that that property had fines previously.
That's correct.
That's not.
That's how it's. how the
That's a good
amendment-
point.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
Council Simon.
That is why the proposed ordinance is drafted to the property owner and not the tenant, because tenants go in and out of properties all the time. Some are more
But they're
stable
only
than others.
being notified one time.
Well,
So
see, I was gonna,
The property owner, so let's say you have a rental property, the owner of the property will be notified. Now, it's also my understanding, though I haven't seen the packet, that when rental registration comes around, a packet is, I've been told, sent out to landlords that describe a number of obligations they have, including, without the fine business, but including the solid waste ordinance as it exists now. So every year, as I understand it, a packet of general information about compliance with ordinances is sent out. Now, if it's not being done, that's something else. I've been
I
told.
got
it is.
rentals and I don't get it. I get the bill.
Okay.
Yeah, I just get the registration notification and that's
That's it.
it, one sheet of
All right,
paper.
then they're not, either not sending it out or that stops somewhere along the way. But, this could be included, this
Well, now
this
you're gonna-
ordinance could be
You're
included.
gonna talk about my next point, and you're gonna talk about cost and money.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So now I'm gonna say what I was
Go ahead.
gonna say 10 minutes ago.
Go ahead.
Now, does this cover in this Let me put my glasses back on. The owner and the person renting the property, both.
All this does, it's the same as on
No,
here.
That's what I'm asking you. Either going to change it now or I'll vote it down.
No, everything's the same. The only thing on here that
But
I
I'm
changed
wanting
is
to
the
know, does it say owner and person
Resident.
renting, the resident? They
Mm-mm.
both get it. And I think if you're going to do it, you need to get rid of that one-time notice. And every time they do it, you better give them a notice.
Correct.
And I don't want to hear about cost and it's going to cost. No, this is what you wanted and this is the way it should be. Don't worry about the cost. You'll get the cost back later on.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment to add the one notification? So right now, you're not voting on the entire ordinance, only the amendment, whether or not you support the motion as made by Alderman Pickering or not. Voting no means you do not support it as changed. Voting yes means you do support it as changed. The amendment.
Just the amendment
That's
only.
correct. The amendment only. Yes, sir. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Chairman Poor,
Yes.
Streebing,
No.
Pickering,
yes.
Ludwig,
No.
Teague,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
No.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Pertel,
No.
Iverson,
No.
Brown,
No.
O'Kane,
No.
The amendment fails. We are back to the original ordinance as written. Is there any further discussion or debate on the ordinance as written? Roll call. Oh, Alderman Teague.
The original ordinance as written still does not address the issue of if tenants change or a possible reset if tenants change. Correct?
I thought maybe it's changed. I thought in the original version we had that it reset every 365 days or something. I don't know if that's not here now.
It's not in there now.
No, that's not here.
So then it's perpetual.
That's right.
Here's the
There's no
problem
reset.
with enforcing that. And I mean, conceptually, I understand the concern, but there is no way the legal department or our inspectors will know when tenants move in and move out. We can't track
Under-
that.
Understandable. That's understandable. Still don't like it.
Anyone else?
Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Streebing,
No.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Abstain.
you said abstain.
Yes.
Okay. Teague,
No.
Williams,
No.
York,
No.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
No.
Pertel,
No.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
O'Kane,
Yes.
Poor,
Yes.
5 yes.
5 yes, the motion fails. In doing so, I just hope you know that the very problem that you all said that you wanted to address, you've not allowed yourself any remedy for it. So,
Mayor, that concludes our report. We'll have a public works meeting Tuesday at 6 o'clock. It'll be a fairly lengthy meeting, since there is no public services meeting, there's a bunch of stuff coming to public works that would normally go to public services.
thank you, Chairman. At this time, are there any items of information for the good of the cause?
I have one, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Today is December the 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day. I think we should all pause and give recognition and honor to all those who gave their lives, wounded, and the families affected during that time. We in Danville should be honored and pleased the fact that we have the Danville Veterans Administration Hospital here in Danville, as well as the Danville National Cemetery. We should honor all of our veterans who are alive and well, and their families who served and provided us freedom. And I think that we here in the city of Danville should honor them and continue to look forward to serving our veterans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Williams. Any other items of information for the good of the cause? Seeing none, we have item 14, the discussion on the proposed 2021 tax levy and fiscal year 22-23 budget. At this time, I will defer to our comptroller to make a few notes on items that have changed. I will maybe make a few remarks, and then we will be open for questions.
All right, thank you. You should have received an updated draft of the fiscal year 22-23 budget. Trying to remember when I sent that 2 Sundays ago. It's also posted on the city website on public display, as well as a physical copy printed and available in the city clerk's office here at City Hall on the first floor. The changes between the first draft that was presented to you and the second draft that you have received is the new insurance rates have been plugged into the budget. The insurance rates through open enrollment. Our open enrollment information has not yet been keyed into this budget draft. That was just wrapped up and delivered to me today by our risk manager, Kathy Corson. So that will be reflected in the final draft of the budget that you will receive before we vote on that. Another change that was made between the first draft and the second draft is that on the individual fund budgets or division budgets, in the salaries line in parentheses, you would see FTE numbers, which stands for full-time employees. In the first draft, a couple of those were not properly updated. So those have all been corrected and are brought up to date so that you can see within the division budgets how many full-time employees are supported by that salary line item. The next couple of corrections all kind of work together. The first big correction is that the state sales tax estimate was corrected. I had a typographical error, or fat fingers, I like to call it, and I had 4.8 million instead of 5.8. One little number made a huge difference, but luckily it was in the correct direction. So thank you, Alderman O'Kane, for bringing that to my attention. So that $1 million increase in revenue had to go somewhere. So it was put a few different places. One was we received a few small budgetary updates for a few divisions, including legal department, code enforcement, and fire department. If you'd like details on those, I'm happy to pull those up, but they're not very large in nature. The next item is that due to the recent news of the award of the COPS grant, there was money set aside for 4 full-time police officers, which is the city's portion of the 6-officer grant that we would receive through COPS, assuming council decides to move forward with that. And then the final and the big portion of the 1 million is additional contributions to both police and fire pensions to, one, reduce the levy request. So we are asking exactly dollar for dollar in this draft as we did last year. So there would be no increase in the levy request for our citizens for this year. And due to a projected EAV increase, it would actually be a decrease in tax rate. So although we're asking for the same amount overall, because of the improved property value, it would be a decreased tax rate. And to make more additional payments towards our outstanding obligations related to pensions. Of course, we just had Lauterbach and Amen come and do a presentation on our outstanding obligations for police and fire pensions. So just chipping away at that as best we can. So those are the changes between the first draft and the second draft. So I'm open to any questions that you have.
I think the people of Danville will be excited to know that we're projecting that our portion of their property taxes will actually decrease a little bit. That's thanks to the good stewardship of you, the council. So I appreciate that. Any questions or comments?
I'd just like to thank you for everything you've done on this, because I know you, on the rewrite and everything else, you put a lot of time into it. So thank you, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I've been quiet all night, which is unusual for me, so I can finally put my mask down and say something. I think overall, as Alderman Stubing said, the budget is really good. You have to congratulate the mayor, the controller, the finance department, the department heads. we're in a hard economic time. We went through a pandemic. Actually, we're still stuck in the pandemic. We've created a solid budget, creates much that the city really needs. Continued emphasis on demolition, substantial money to police and fire pensions, and a general fund surplus. And it's done without even using the American Recovery Program Act money. So congratulations. The biggest change to the budget is the storm and sewer fund increase that was approved last year. And as we saw in the public hearing tonight, the change in billing recently has reawakened the knowledge of people that got changed. They suddenly saw the bill and went, oh my, I forgot. At the time and some of you weren't here then, you hadn't been elected. The time we discussed implementing this increase, we said we'd find ways to fund part of it to reduce the impact on homeowners. We've been unable to find such money to this point. The mayor and I have had numerous discussions about this over the past year. He's probably tired of having me in his office talking about this. He's convinced me of the need to the increase to replace and repair storm and sewer systems that are well past the time they need to be fixed. I agree with that. When we get the ARPA money, we should have several sewer and storm projects. That's great. That should help relieve some of the stress on the sewer system. When the fee increase was approved, it included an automatic increase each month. And I believe that part should be dropped. It's a small amount each year. Well, but you do it monthly each year. Yeah, it's a small amount, but it has a cumulative effect over the months and years. I believe it's probably the least we can do to the public. The fee will be more than it used to be still because we've got a higher fee rate. So the city every year will have more money than it has been before now for the storm and sewers. If the additional money is needed, the council can act on it. That's supposed to be our job. We're supposed to be held responsible and supposed to look at those things each year. Automatic increases just make it too convenient. So after the public hearing, this is time to propose changes and before we vote on later this month. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to drop the automatic increase on the storm and sewer fee. I would not be lowering the amount that we agreed to, just not having automatic increases put on it all the time. I just don't think that's something that we should be done. I don't think it needs to be done anymore because of the improved economic look that the city has. So that's my motion. Obviously would need a second and other support.
Second.
Well, we can't vote. We cannot make a motion on something that's not on the agenda, but
Okay. And so how about for the meeting in December, what's the
Put
next
that on the
meeting?
agenda.
Yeah.
but that's not a part of the budget. That's a separate ordinance we would have to address independently. It would need to go to Public Works and then, or another committee and then back to the full council.
How's it not part of the budget though?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is not an automatic increase next year. It starts the year after. Is that?
There's an automatic increase. It's scheduled for May based on the original approval. So it would be, I believe, on May 1 of each year.
For 4 years, correct?
For
Sam?
4 years. And we should be reevaluating this every year. Just some commentary based on going through the process is that elimination will violate our city financial policy, which requires enterprise funds to be self-sustaining, and will potentially put us back in the same position we were before.
Yep.
So,
And I'm going to say that when I brought this up before we done it, and I was told by the engineer, well, when is a good time? So guess what? You bought it, you own it, pay for it.
Yeah, except you're not talking about decreasing. We're still going to have an increasing amount next
Doesn't
year.
matter. You have to have all that money he's got in there for buffered, because if not, you're going to be just like you are on the police and fire pensions. You're going to be short when you need it for a project.
If it be the pleasure of the council, I would begrudgingly consider that. I'll be honest. I don't think it's a good idea. We all know that things go up every year. There's not anything that the cost has gone down on, especially in most recent times. And we all know, especially construction material has gone up substantially. So probably even with $1 increase, my submission to you would be, we may not still be on track anymore, because, a 2x4 costs $2 or $3 a few years ago, and now it costs $10. So I'm afraid that if we don't proceed as it took a courageous vote. No one ever wants to ask for more. Heck, I don't want to pay for more. I absolutely don't want to pay more. But if you can show me that you're using the money well and it's to resolve problems that I have or that my neighbors have or that my city has, I'm willing to support that, So I think that would be a thing backwards. The other thing we have to think of is we have minimally $250 million of sewer work that needs done. $250 million, and it's probably more like 300 million plus between sewer and stormwater that needs to be done. So like, for example, even if we used every penny of the ARPA money that we have, that would only cover not even quite 10% of our need. So I think we already made those who were here made a courageous vote once, and I hope that you will stick to it because I believe it's right for the future of our community as much as it makes me want to puke.
And I just want to say one thing, because Miss Macy got us out of position that we were in, and you're going to have contract negotiations coming up. And if there's any way they can figure out that your enterprise funds are not being adhered to the way they are, you'll lose them. So that's the other big thing.
I just don't see how this automatic increase would be affecting how that would
go
be
back
funded.
and look at what you voted on.
I also remember what we said, that we were going to find alternative ways, which we haven't. And I'm not saying we haven't tried. Like I said, the mayor and I have had numerous discussions about this, and we've discussed many ways. And this is a bare minimum, I admit, to giving back to the public. This really doesn't amount to a heck of a lot. I think it just does something that we said we'd try to do. I think it's just something that we show we're concerned. We know they're having problems paying bills. We know things are difficult right now, and we know the city's difficult.
Sure, that's
right
what I
now.
tried to tell you 6-8 months ago.
But so
But you and I were supporting that back then, though,
But-
too. So
That's what I tried to tell you.
Vice Mayor, it's $12 per. It would $1 a year is $12 per household. They're $1 a month, I should say. That's $12 in a year per household. We have 22,000. I mean, we have 12,000, roughly 11,000. That's $132,000 more that we'll collect from this year to next year. Now, I would submit to you the way with inflation at 30, the highest it's been in 30 some years, that will not even cover our inflation. Engineer Cole?
Yeah, I was just going to say, historically, construction costs have gone up about 3% per year. We have seen enormous increases since this has been approved. And that was basically just to combat inflation, not to account for possible decline in population, which is not a popular thing to talk about. I advocated for a 5% annual increase because I felt like that was the responsible thing to do. What we approved was about an average of a 3% over the next couple of years. So if you take that away, even if 3% was the right number for an increase, which I think it's light, you're going to be underfunded by 15%, at the end of 5 years, plus underfunding all those years cumulatively. The thing that our sewer rate did not account for is the backlog of projects that need to be funded. And that's really where these found dollars and other things like that, they can help us catch up with the stormwater master plan projects, with these sanitary sewer projects that exceed what we can the need exceeds what we can collect in revenue still. And we didn't feel like that was a burden. We need to be smart about our investments. We need to pick really important projects with big bang for the buck, but we also need to gain on it through grants and through other things to eat away at that backlog of projects that might be $250,000 or $250 million. So that's just really a couple things to consider that I totally understand the sentiment, I guess, of this. I think it's easy to make a decision and then forget about why we made it. And the same could be said for taking this away, is that it would be easy to forget about why we made that. And automatic increases aren't popular, but they are responsible, I think. And that's just, some of my commentary on it, I guess.
Well, if there's no particular support among the council, there's really no reason for me to plunge ahead with this. To me, this was just a matter of conscience. When I went along with the vote on it, and I still agree with the idea that we need to fix it, I promised that we would look at ways to make it a little easier for the public. This was one way I thought when things will come up with additional money and some other things, that this just looked like maybe a chance we could do something to help the taxpayers a little bit and make them know at least we tried.
I applaud you for sticking to what you promised. That's important. I mean, people don't trust you if you don't. So I thank you for that. And I do understand what you're saying completely. As I said, you should ask comptroller and city engineer the look on my face when I finally came to the realization that I have to support this. I did not want to support it. I asked them, isn't there any other way around this? Can't we do something else? And then they showed me the reason and laid it out to me, and I understand and I support it. And I think this wasn't done in the past, and that's part of the reason we're in such terrible shape that we're in now, because people were not willing to make tough decisions. So it's very tough. But your point, I understand your sentiment. I certainly do, and I respect you for trying. The other thing that I wanted to show you is a rough outline. Alderman O'Kane had asked us a couple of questions specifically on roads and also on the mowing. Our mowing is about $65,000 that's budgeted, and then you asked specifically about a couple of street projects, and I don't want to name all of them because some of them may or may not be able to get done. We're still in the process of doing assessments, but I can tell you a few that I think are of paramount to everyone. One is West William Street, to work on some to work on some construction and realigning that road. Also, for our seal coat, $500,000. For our patching, $200,000. For our overlay, $500,000. Crack sealing, $150,000. Pavement striping, $150,000. And then there are also several other projects that we are looking into, but we don't have initial studies on, so I don't want to mention those until I know for sure those are projects that we're going to do. But those are, and the other big one that everyone keeps asking about is the intersection at Jackson and Voorhees. So those are a couple of the things that we know that we will be doing for sure.
Yeah, but then your hidden things are in there, like sewers that bust or blow open, or you get ready to dig a hole and you got a problem. So there's your.
Well, these are all, again, planned projects. What can't plan for is the unexpected. When you have a manhole open up under a stage of an elementary school, what does one do in such? Of
course, I think that's kind of a wish list, because that's a lot of money in 1 year.
Well, just remember though, we also set aside, we were able to return $3 million, just shy of that, to the road fund, so that we will be able to do some extra stuff next year. So, all right. Well, I thank you, everyone. I apologize. We haven't had long meetings like this for a while. We'll have one more that's going to be a little long, and then hopefully, in the first part of the year, they'll even out just a little bit. So, having satisfied the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. If I would have put you in closed section, I think everybody would have drawn and quartered you.
Because
Saw more problems as I was listening to everybody.
It's not that I didn't want to. It's not that I don't want to.
I didn't like the one time.
felt like the way that we were addressing it was going to cause.
Oh, she didn't. She just